the children to bed, it's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Dan Aguirre, it's all your fault we lost that game.
It is. I'll go ahead and jump in and tell the anecdote if you want me to.
Please.
So I was talking to my guy, Jay Bonds. We frequently bitch to each other during the games, but we're happy, man. The Bears are up 12. They're up 12. And I got to say, before I even tell you the story, I got to say, I don't have a problem with the coaching this week. I know I'm in the minority. If I'm Coach Eberflus right now, not right now, I meant Sunday, when they kicked that field goal to go up 12, the defense couldn't have been tired. We had 40 minutes of time of possession. The defense had played well all day. The only touchdown they had given up was on the short field because of Tyler Scott's fumble, who later would drop a pass, or misplay what should have been the game-winning fucking pass. But okay, anyway, point being, if I'm Eberflus, I take the 12-point lead and say our defense is going to stop them too. And I can't hide from that because just because it's trendy now to say you want him fired and fuck him and fuck, the offensive coordinator, all this stuff, Luke Getsy. I agreed with him. I thought the defense was going to stop them too. I mean, the defense looked good all day. We had 4 turnovers, should have had 5, had a pick 6 drop by Jalen Johnson. I thought we were going to stop them too. Even when they got that touchdown, I was like, well, that sucks, but okay. We still going to win this game. I was telling Ron that. I was like, I feel like we're going to win this game. I said it last week. I feel like we're going to win this game. So I'm not blaming the coaching. But to get to the story, David Montgomery, who I used to love, just pissed me off so much when he was just like, oh, I left Chicago because they're always losing, and I'm so tired of losing. So I told Jay right before the Lions drive started, I think the first play of the drive, they ran into Montgomery for nothing. And I was like, you know what, Jay? He can go whining and bitching about losing again because they're going to lose today. Fuck him. Ooh. I put everything in my mouth. But I will also acknowledge the other Dan, Shorty.
From Bears Country Productions.
He promised he would wear an old Rashawn Salam jersey because on the day the Bears beat Carolina, he wore that Salam jersey and I wore an orange Rex jersey. So he said, if those 2 jerseys somehow were going to give us the power like He-Man, and we were going to, beat Detroit, he's like, you have to wear your Rex jersey. I have to wear my Salam. Well, I wore my Rex jersey. He forgot his Salam jersey and didn't wear it, so we lost. Thank you, Mr. Mayhem. Fuck David Montgomery.
Don Burr is here. Do you have a message for
Don? I do have something for Don Burr because last week, during Dan's show, I was on there and Don Burr was like, you're fucking Craig, called me an idiot or something, saying that, the Bears are going to get blown out. And yeah, you got your win, but man, guess what? Oh, I'm here to make excuses. Hey, Don Burke, fuck you, buddy. You're the one, your team is the one who got a break there and got lucky to win. You guaranteed a blowout victory and everything. Man, you're a fan. fuck you and fuck the Lions.
Julian Barker asked the question, so why did we lose if not for the coaching?
The players, man, the players. The players have to make plays. And look, it's all easy for us to blame Eberflus because it hasn't been going well for a year and a half. I get it. But if you're a Bears fan, we all seem to love defense, right? I'm sure you're going to touch on Martellus Bennett talking about the past. And so that's what we all stand up for, the 85 Bears and defense. Okay, well, the defense had been playing well. The defense had been playing well all day. You had to think they would come through. You had all those turnovers. Sweat got his first sack. It looked good. I don't know. I can't define what happened, but I think it's on the players in that last drive or last two drives. Or maybe you just say Detroit won. Detroit, like Goff and them, they beat us. I mean, it's not like, there were some calls and went again, like the Lucas Patrick got hit. That was a dirty hit. That should have been blindside, illegal block in the back. I mean, that was a dirty hit. There's some things like that. But the Lions, those last two drives, they deserve to win. They went down the field. I still think the defense should have stopped them, but they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Don writes, Detroit next took sorry bum seriously. Hey, Dan, we kicked your ass, man. Stop crying.
Oh, God. You're the one who's delusional, Don. You still have only won one playoff game since fucking Kennedy was shot. And by the way, that's 60 years ago tomorrow. So until you do something else, how about win a Super Bowl? How about win a playoff game? How about win the NFC North? You still haven't done that ever before either.
That's right. It was the NFC Central last time.
Last time they won in 93 with Eric Kramer, who said, fuck this team. I'm going to Chicago.
Well, I do think this was, how they talk about complimentary football when you win. This was complimentary football when you lose. From a coaching standpoint, the decision making, we can quibble with some of the play calls and some of the decisions made, but I think that the biggest fault for Matt Eberflus was his lack of leadership. And I'll give you an example. After the game, I saw Dan Campbell's press conference, and he
and
was
I like
asked,
Dan Campbell. Let me say that. I want to tell Don I like Dan, but go ahead.
He started to grow on me too. So he was asked, there was a lot of strain on the defense, how what happened there, and he says, well, I went over there and talked to the guys, and I said, this is what we live for. This is what we live for. This opportunity to come back, stop them a couple times. The offense is going to do their job. You guys have to do your job. He gave them a pep talk. Eberflus, he was trying to figure out who he could sell insurance to on the sideline. I mean, that's the vibe that he gives. And he just doesn't have that leadership capability for an entire team. And it was just so disappointing. And those post-game conferences, I posted the opening statements to their press conferences, and everybody, there were over 100 comments on X about it. And everybody was saying, what a difference in terms of energy, in terms of what was said, and so forth. Eberflus has lost this team. I'm not sure he ever had them. And you got to give credit for the guys on this team who have kept fighting. But there is no doubt that their fight only goes up to a certain point, and when they face adversity and they look to the sideline and they see Matt Eberflus and they don't see a Dan Campbell, they don't see a Kyle Shanahan, they don't see any of the successful coaches in the NFL. I think that's one of the big reasons this team is devoid of of victories, and is a verifiable loss in fourth quarter of close games. I mean, it's really bad.
I just want to point out, in week 4, when we blew that lead to Denver, everybody at the time in the city, because again, I was at the airport forever, it seemed that day, everyone was like, why didn't they kick the field goal? Why didn't they kick the field goal? Well, we did kick the field goal against Detroit. So I feel like a lot of times, I'm not saying your point was wrong. I'm not trying to be dismissive of your point, but I feel like I personally have to be fair to Eberflus, because I was one of the guys saying kick the field goal against Denver. Don't try to be overly aggressive when you don't need to be. And you know what? He took the 2 field goals, which is what I wanted him to do against the Broncos. So I can't be hypocritical and now say, well, you should have gone for it. It's just like a lot of people just criticize him just because they're going to regardless of what movie makes.
Mm-hmm.
Is all I'm saying. And again, I don't like him overall either. I agree with you.
Right.
Dan Campbell, everything you said about Dan Campbell is on fucking point.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's their Ditka.
Right.
I agree. We need something like that. But to be fair to Coach Eberflus, the coaches did enough to win here, I think. They had us in position to win. The defense fell apart.
I agree in terms of the in-game decisions. There wasn't any major thing that they did. We lost the game because they decided to run the ball instead of throw it.
40
I agree with you.
Possession. 40 minutes.
I agree with you. The game plan was solid. The coaching was solid for the most part. I just feel like this team is not winning now because they look at Eberflus and they see an insurance salesman and they don't. So what was the thing that somebody said Disney called Eberflus a Disney dad? Some caller to one of the radio talk shows called him a Disney dad. And that's sort of what he looks like. He looks like a dad at Disney telling the kids, all right, you can't go on that right. You're too short.
Yeah, I can see that. I do. I just feel like in this instance, everyone wants to blame him or Fields, one or the other. And I don't think Justin should be blamed for this loss, and I don't think that the coaches deserve to either. If you told me they lost to Minnesota and into the bye, they fired either Eberflus or Getsy, the way Pittsburgh fired their OC. I saw you had a poll on that. Mm-hmm. If you told me they made a change going into the bye, I wouldn't complain. I just meant for Detroit. For Detroit, that was like the best the team has looked all year.
Yeah,
I think from top to bottom, man, they're running the ball. I mean, if you want to call out a GOAT, maybe you single out Tyler Scott for fumbling and giving them 7 and then not catching the pass that would have put Detroit away on 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a perfect throw. He just stopped running, man.
I agree with you that this loss is more on the players. I think it's a team loss. Coaches have to assume some responsibility, but there were a lot of execution mistakes. I collected just a handful of plays for us to look at and comment on. The very first one was that missed touchdown pass to DJ Moore. The Bears came out in that first series and played tremendous. The play calling, the execution by Fields, the offensive line, everybody looked great. And I'm thinking to myself, we might fucking blow this team out that first drive. And we had a chance to take a 14-0 lead, but Fields overthrows DJ Moore wide open. And as soon as he released that ball, Dan, I said to myself, he overthrew it. It was too much of a line drive. What were your thought when you saw this play?
Honestly, I was Mr. Optimism at this point. I was like, okay, we took a shot. All right, well, he'll hit the next one. That's what I thought. And he did, right? He hit DJ later.
Yeah, he did. He did indeed. The same play, and he hit him perfectly.
I just said, ooh, and I was like, oh, he almost had it. I was so optimistic at this point.
I just was so frustrated. I'm like, this is an opportunity to go up 14-0 on a team on the road, and he misses this play. Now, again, for the most part, I thought Justin played an excellent football game. But this was a blemish in his day. Now, this next one is, of course, one that we've all been talking about. Jalen No Hands Johnson. Unbelievable. He says it didn't hit me in the hands. It hit me in one hand, and perhaps I took a bad angle to the ball.
Oh, man. If he takes that to the house, he's probably signing an extension on Monday.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, again, another opportunity early in the game to get up to 14-0. Now, I read that quote after I put this highlight together. I want to see if it hits him on both hands. Oh, come on. It looks like it hits the left hand, too. What do you think? Look at it again. Yeah, come on. He's got both thumbs pointing to each other. It hits the right hand more, but it hit the left hand, too.
That, honestly, though, I know that's something you can obviously remember and think, ooh, that should have been 7 or 6, I guess. But, I mean, he was getting burned in coverage, too, at the end of the game. So it's just like he had a really bad game. And I think he's better than what he showed on Sunday. But for a guy that's wanting to get paid, he really did not play well Sunday.
I agree, man. And this
can I make one more separate point, please? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm afraid I'm going to lose this before the broadcast. I've been waiting since Sunday to see this, to throw this at you. I don't know if there's a tangible stat for this. I don't know. The 2-point conversion got brought into the NFL in 1994. From whiny until now, no one gives up more two-point conversions than the fucking Chicago Bears. At the end of that game, the Lions are up 1 after their touchdown. I'm like, all right, guys, stop them here. Field goal wins it. Every time another team goes for 2 against us, there's somebody wide open. Every time we relent and give up the fucking 2-point conversion without any effort, all the time. I bet you the teams have scored 90+% in the last 30 years against us on 2-point conversions. Doesn't matter who the coach is. We always just fucking let them score like it's not even a problem. Like there's somebody wide open every time they go for 2. It's maddening.
It is maddening.
If there's a stat on that, I guarantee the Bears are the worst against the 2-point conversion. I guarantee it.
I'll try to find something. All right, back to these clips. The next one is the conservative approach, and I don't really put a lot of blame on this, but here it's 23 to 14.
Oh, is this Roshan's run? Was it 37? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think they should have called the pass play here? Like when I looked at it just before the show, the receivers on Justin Fields are setting up a wide receiver screen. I almost think there should have been a fake handoff and throw it to one of those 2 receivers. Instead, they're running into that stout defensive line. By that point, the rushing attack wasn't that strong. I mean, all day long, the running backs weren't doing particularly well, other than Justin Fields, who's not a running back; he's a quarterback. But this was a little disappointing. I wish they would have tried a pass to pick up the first down.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't have a problem with it because I thought there's 2 reasons. A, maybe they're expecting pass. Maybe we surprised them, kind of a Walter Payton sort of call. We'd run Walter on 3rd and long. I mean, I know Roshan's not Walter, but that was a play that did get called all the time in Walter's early days, 3rd and long. Well, we'll still give it to 34. But maybe you catch them sleeping. Or, worst case scenario, you line up the field goal for Santos exactly where he wants it, and you get 3 more. Because, again, maybe it's ignorance, maybe it's arrogance. I really thought the defense had turned the corner, and I was like, going up 12. Now, even if they give them a touchdown, it's still, we're still ahead. It's, I mean, maybe 12-9 isn't that big of a difference. Maybe I should have thought of that. But at the time, I thought, okay, it's all right. The defense is going to hold. We're going to be okay. I thought it was a good play at the time. I did.
Yeah, I'm with you. At the time, I thought it was a good play, and I'm just saying from hindsight, which is not fair, of course, to the coaching staff. But I like to be somewhat aggressive on those plays. Now, if the pass would have been incomplete or they failed to pick up the first down, I would have sent out the kicking team too. I just would have liked to have seen a pass there. But I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to milk the clock as much as possible and expand the lead. So I understand.
If I'm playing Eberflus right now, I don't want to play psychologist, but I'm just going to play again, I'm not his biggest fan. Please let me say I'm not trying to be an apologist here. But maybe he's thinking, let's not put Justin in a position to lose this game, Aldo. Let's not. Okay, it's his first game back. Let's build some momentum. He's done well so far. Don't give him a fucking. Let's be safe here just for this one play, and let's not put him in harm's way because if he throws a pick here, all the momentum we've built could dissipate. Let's keep his head up. He's played well. Let's get this point, these 3 points. And the defense will win the game for us. And we've got an ascending quarterback. I think sometimes you have to protect keep his head up, and he's played well. Let's get a win for him. So maybe I'm talking on my ass here, but I think that's what the coaches are doing. They're protecting him there.
Well, if that's what they were doing, then they were a little overly protective. I mean, we just saw, who was it that just said that? Zach. No, it wasn't Zach. It was Larry T. Larry T said, Patrick Manley said Justin Fields was beating the defensive end all day long on the run. Should have put it in his hands to let JF1 determine the game. The thing is that there was that play on 3rd down and 1, and Justin made the decision to hand the ball off to Khalil Herbert. That was on the series before, I believe. And
he said he made the right read on that.
And he did, technically, so that's the tough part. Is he did as he was coached to do. The linebacker stays in his position and doesn't go for the ball carrier, then you got to give the ball to the ball carrier. The problem was, and I saw this play like 3 or 4 times, is the left part of the line, left tackle Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones went out to the second level immediately, and the center and the left guard did not hold their blocks. They let pressure get in, and Herbert was tackled for no gain. So
we need to get that voice of Braxton, like for saved, where he's like, I couldn't fucking see.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we can utilize that for anytime there's a problem with Braxton.
He was feeling a little bit dizzy, and he kind of went to a knee, and then he said that I instantly felt better, and I told the officials that, but they wanted me to go off the field and have a neurologist check him out. So I'm not quite sure what he meant by that I can't fucking see thing, but that was his excuse for what went on there.
He apologized too, apparently.
Yeah, he did. So there's that stupid insurance salesman guy. All right, so here's the next one. It's the Terrell Scott. Is it Terrell or Yeah, it's Terrell, right?
Yeah, I think it's Terrell.
The rookie wide receiver. So this is Justin.
No. It's not Terrell Scott. Terrell's on defense. It's we just said his name. Now why am I blanking? Shit.
Help me out, chat room.
Yeah.
Tyler, thank you, Toreen.
Yeah, there you go.
Tyler Scott.
Don't forget his fumble earlier in the game now.
Yeah, that's another one. I should have included it on this highlight package. But on this play, DJ Moore is the main read. But the safety came down, leaving Scott one-on-one on this defender. And Justin, again, people were yelling at Justin, you should have thrown it to DJ, you're most reliable. But he's double covered. He did the right thing, and
Absolutely.
He did it perfectly. I mean, this pass is perfectly thrown. And as we will see in the isolated look, Scott, for some reason, I thought it was because he lost the ball momentarily. He slowed down, but he just said that he just kind of was trying to adjust to the ball. Well, he adjusted poorly. Watch right about here. See how he slowed down just a bit?
Yeah.
That step cost him. Oh, gosh, that hurt so bad. Because that was the killer right there. And Justin knows it. I love when Justin said in the press conference, to be honest with you, we should have won that game. Yeah, really.
I wonder if he's thinking, again, I'm doing a lot of psychological analysis here, but when you showed that his hands on his helmet, is he thinking, is that original Coors you're drinking?
No, this is just pick this up, Sam Adams at Golden Pilsner. It's got a great taste.
I love original Coors. It reminded me of that can. But anyway, I bet that's good too. But I wonder if Justin's thinking, oh no, the defense is about to blow this. It's inevitable. I wonder if he thinks that it's inevitable.
I felt so bad for him because he needs that victory more than anyone else on that team.
For his whole future, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, and Jaquan Brisker apparently went up to him and said, hey, we lost the defense. We lost that game. And he apologized to Justin. So props to Jaquan.
Well, yeah, that's great, man. But he might be with the fucking Raiders or somewhere next year if we keep losing these games.
No shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his whole livelihood. Because if you're the Bears, I mean, and you keep losing, how can you justify passing on the number 1 pick on a quarterback 2 years in a row?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very true.
And it's not fair to Justin to keep saying it's his fault that they're losing every game. But if you're telling me his record is like 6-30 at the end of the year, I mean, it's hard to justify not drafting one of those other quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things I want to talk about a little bit later. Let's get through these next two clips. This is, as you rightly said, this was on the players. And one of the players that deserves huge part of the blame is Tremaine Edmonds, who misses this tackle.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
On Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, it's 2nd down and 4, so this isn't a game-winning play, but it's a huge play. You tackle him right there. He's got to go down. But no, he misses Gibbs, and Gibbs gets out of bounds, saving them a timeout and gives them a fresh set of downs.
Yes.
This is just linebacker malpractice. Here it is, another look at it.
70 million guaranteed or something like that for him too.
Yep. I mean, this is an arm tackle. You gotta wrap him up. It's almost like he purposely missed. And I hate saying that, but it felt that way to me.
And look how big he is and how small Gibbs is in comparison. I mean, like you said, you have to fucking make that tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, now at that moment, I was like, man, Sanborn doesn't miss that tackle. That's what I thought at that exact second.
I know, our darling.
But I know they rotated a little bit during the game. I saw Sanborn in the middle. At least I think I did.
They did.
So, man, but I was glad to see Edmonds back and he got the pick. But yeah, that is a terrible missed tackle. You're so correct.
Well, and another, little blemish, I think, on the coaching staff is on that touchdown, the game-winning touchdown for the Lions. Dylan Cole, the backup linebacker, was out there, and Eberflus was asked, why was Cole out there and not TJ Edwards? And he goes, it was part of the rotation. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Fuck the rotation. Get your best players out there in the red zone. I don't give a fuck what's going on. Part of the
that
rotation.
was similar. You're right, but it's similar with Sweat on the last drive. He was out most of this last drive. Yep. If you're giving the dude $100 million, he's got to be in there in the crunch.
Yeah, get the rotation right so that you make sure those players are fresh for game time, for crunch time.
It's almost like baseball, like when you go to your closer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your closer's your crunch guy. These are the guys that have to be there at the end to close out the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't take them out right there, like you said at the goal, and that's terrible.
No, and I got to tell Don Burr this. I was a huge, huge fan of Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of Alabama. When all of my fucking mock drafts, he was always available in round 2, and that was the guy I was going for. Now, when the Lions picked him with the 12th pick in the first round, I was shocked. I was like, wow, that's high for them. But it's part of the visionary plan that Holmes has as GM. He did a great job there, signing David Montgomery and then drafting Gibbs. Everybody was giving them shit. Oh, you signed this guy Montgomery for $18 million, and then you're going to draft the running back. He knew what he was doing. He wanted thunder and lightning. He wanted that dual back that is helping them win games so much. And Gibbs is a super player. All right, I think this is the last one, and this is the play immediately after that missed tackle to Jahmyr Gibbs, and you know what this is. This is the Eddie Jackson play.
Oh, my God. I don't know how we can justify playing him now. Is it just because of the contract?
I guess. I mean, who do you put in there now? Because there have been some injuries. You put in Elijah Hicks if he's healthy.
Hicks can't be any worse, or maybe you just move one of your corners, like one of the corners to safety and just put, I don't know who else. Maybe you could put Gordon on the outside and put Stevenson at safety. Fuck, I don't know, man. Like, I don't care who it is.
J2K, help us out here. Who would you put in? All right, so here's the play. And Lance Briggs is going to talk about this in the media mashup. There's just no fucking reason why your big paid safety is allowing anybody behind them. And that's exactly what happens. I mean, look at that. How do you let this guy behind you? And then when you'll see the replay, how Jalen Johnson looks at Eddie Jackson, he looks at him.
Oh, I saw him. He's like, that's your fucking man.
Right here. These are your guys. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, he just creates so much attention. You see right there, Johnson.
Unbelievable. Look at this, Jalen, look at him. Like, you fucking asshole. I mean,
Eddie hasn't made a play since he signed his contract extension. I mean, the dude has sucked now for 4 or 5 seasons. Like, he's got to go. I wouldn't play him one more fucking down this season. He can't tackle. He can't cover. He doesn't get interceptions anymore. What does he do? Maybe put him returning kicks again. Maybe he'll get hurt. Remember, he used to love to return kicks.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would have him. I would treat him like a rookie. Pick up my shit, motherfucker, and wash it or whatever. Bojack is good as gone after the season. They'll be drafting a replacement in the second round. I'm calling that now. Yeah, they got to get a second round draft pick, which I'm sure they will, Nick, producer over at Nomad Live. But I agree with you. There's no way, and this again is going to be mentioned, I think, by Yurko in the media mashup. There's no way Eddie Jackson comes back next season. That's
fuck next season. What about the accountability? What about the hit system? some accountability here, then put his ass on the bench, man. If they made an example out of Whitehair finally, right? Even when Lucas Patrick got hurt, they brought the mullet in. Okay, great. He's finally being held accountable for his lack of fucking ability to snap or block. Okay, well, Eddie's got to go to the bench too. Has to. You got 6 games left. He should be on the bench also. I wouldn't even have him active. Fuck it. He's like one of the 2 or 3 guys who's not active.
Mayhem, did you mean has been garbage or hasn't been garbage? Because he's had spells where he's played well. I mean,
I don't remember that.
Last season before he got injured, he was having a pretty decent season. He was actually even made some nice tackles. But yeah, he's not worth the money. 2018, after that, he just wasn't the same player. Larry T says Eddie is overpaid. So is Whitehair. Most likely both of those guys are gone. I don't think it's most likely, Larry. They are absolutely gone. There's no way they are back. Dan, one of the things that went through my mind after the loss and for hours afterwards, I was kind of in a numb-like state, but you came to mind, because one of the things you tell me and you text me and you said on the show before, why us? Why does this shit have to happen to us all the time?
Yeah.
And I try to, I don't want to think that way and so forth, but that's exactly what I was doing after this Lions game. I was doing the same thing. Why us? Why us? Why us? I ask you, why us? Have you come up with an answer yet?
No, again, like I said, the only thing I could think of is it's just the defense. But then I was talking to my friend Justin, and he was like, well, did they switch the scheme the last 2 drives that they'd been playing earlier in the day? And I'm not smart enough to tell you what they were running at that exact minute versus what they were playing earlier, because I don't watch the game from a perspective of I'm coaching. I watch it from from entertainment perspective. I'm not trying to study fucking the game. I'm reacting because I love it. So to answer your question, why I don't know. I still think it's the defense, though. I still blame the defense. I bought into them and thought they were back and ready to go now, and they proved me you can't ever count on the Bears defense after Otis Wilson and Wilbur Marshall left. They always break your heart after that.
Yeah. Well, and what was interesting is, I read a few articles after the game, and unlike Don Burr, who won't give the Bears any credit for anything, there was a lot of credit from Lions players. Even David Montgomery said that's a good team.
I don't care what he has to say. If there's a hell, I hope he burns in it.
But you can't blame him for wanting to leave a team that he was.
He and Roquan Smith can go fight each other to the death in a cage, and I hope they both just bleed out instead.
See, I don't have a problem with them, wanting to play elsewhere. I don't like it when they go into the division. I don't like it when they talk
and
shit
talking shit too.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But
the Roquan mainly. Oh, I saved my career to get out of there.
Yeah.
Well, TJ Edwards is playing better than Roquan anyway.
Yeah.
TJ Edwards leads the fucking league in tackles.
Yeah.
Well,
that was a mistake. Oh, I remember, that regarding that Scott drop. See, when we talk about polls, and I know Chubbs, I saved something that Chubbs wrote about. Okay, let's see what he says. Chubbs, Ryan Post is just as responsible. I mean, he has said some outright lies to the media. He has failed on many occasions. His picks have turned into nothing. He's passed up good players. All right. There's a lot there, and I could quibble with you, debate you on some of this stuff, but I think it's way too early to put a verdict down on Ryan Post. I'm glad he's going to be, and he is going to be back as the GM next season. There's no doubt in my mind. He set a plan, tear down the entire roster, start building it again in 2023, and so he's really just 1 year into the roster replenishment. Let's remember that when he took over this team, he didn't have a salary cap to work with. He did not have a first-round draft pick. He was digging this team out of a fucking ditch. And so you got to give him some slack. Now, has he made some bad moves? Yes. That play to Tyler Scott, that should not have been a rookie running underneath that ball. That should have been Chase Claypool. That's what he was hoping he would have, is that big, tall wide receiver who would make plays like that. But unfortunately, He didn't know. I didn't know because I was for the trade. And a lot of people didn't know that Chase Claypool is a pussy.
And he probably thought it would be Valus if not Chase.
Yes, exactly, which was a bad move. I mean, talk about overdrafting. Valus was a 5th, 6th rounder at best. So all GMs make mistakes. Don Burr, if you gave him a truth serum, he would tell you that Holmes has made mistakes as the GM of that team. He's made a couple of second-round busts or guys that have yet to deliver. Jason Williams, even though he caught that touchdown against the Bears, that was the first significant play he's done for the Lions. So, you know, you can't expect this automatic turnaround, but he has made mistakes. The biggest mistake he made was agreeing to hire Matt Eberflus as the head coach. I think we could all agree on that. This guy was not ready, and then he brings in 2 coordinators who were not ready for their jobs.
Especially Alan Williams.
Keep
your dick to yourself, bro.
You were right. I argued with you on that. I was like, give him time, but you were right. He's out there playing with his penis or whatever the hell he was doing that got him fired, because that's what happened. He got fired. Anyway, what was I going to say?
I didn't mind the Getsy hire at the time because it felt like they were going to emulate the system that had worked so long in Green Bay. Not that I want to be like Green Bay, but it just felt like it was a competent system, and you had an up-and-coming assistant there to implement it. It hasn't worked out. But again, hindsight's 2020 is to use the cliche. So I thought in 2021 when they hired Getsy, I didn't have a problem with it. Yeah. And I didn't really want Eberflus, but again, I got on board when he became the coach. If you're the coach, I'm rooting for you.
You know, the thing is, the problem with Getsy is that he was the quarterback coach for Aaron Rodgers. That's not a good resume to bring in.
That's true, because he doesn't really need a quarterback coach.
Right. And
I say the same thing. I don't mean to talk over. I apologize, Aldo. I'm so sorry. I want to shut up. I'll make one point and I will shut up. That's the thing. I feel that Gabriel loves the guy that was with us. Help me out. The guy that was with here when Rex was here, and then Cutler.
Pep Hamilton.
Yeah, I think Pep Hamilton is exactly the same guy. It's like he's not some guru. He's a guy that is the quarterback coach. Well, like you said, Rodgers doesn't fucking need Luke Getsy. He's going to be great with that. I think Luke Getsy is Pep Hamilton.
I don't know. I'd have to give that some thought. I do know that, you know, and this is something Coach T on the Barroom Network has talked about, and on his own YouTube channel has talked about at length, is you can't bring in a guy who's never coached an athletic quarterback like Justin Fields and expect to change that quarterback and try to make him into Aaron Rodgers. He's not an Aaron Rodgers quarterback. He's a 21st century quarterback who utilizes his legs to make big plays and has a strong arm that you have to use. And these, you know, short timing throws from the pocket, that's not really him. He's not adept at that. He really didn't do that at Ohio State. We were told coming out of Ohio State, he's a pocket passer. He's a pocket passer. Well, it's easy to be a fucking pocket passer in college when you got 5 seconds to throw. That's not the NFL. So I think there were just some poor decisions there. And then when you allow Eberflus to bring in a first-time defensive coordinator, although I think that was actually his second defensive coordinator job, but the first one was only a year long, and a first-time offensive coordinator, what are you doing? Where's the experience? Where's the?
I agree.
Leadership. It's stupid, man.
It's like usually when you get a fresh coach like that, they hire somebody like Wade Phillips or somebody as a defensive coordinator that's like a mentor or a guy that's been around the league forever. But you got new faces and new places all across the board, including GM, including president. So, yeah, I agree. Like, if they make a change, it needs to be with people. Like, that's the thing with Detroit. Everybody there, as we've heard on their staff, were players. So you got experience, and they can look up to these guys versus all these novices that we hired.
Yep, I agree. Don Berg goes on, okay, here's the guys that Holmes has drafted. Yeah, these are all good guys. That's going to happen when you have high draft picks. That's what's going to happen. Hutchinson was the 2nd overall pick. Sewell was a fortunate drop. I think he dropped to like 5th or 6th in the draft because 3 quarterbacks were chosen before him. So he got lucky too. Aleem McNeil was like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. excellent pick. He's got 5 sacks this season, 1 against the Bears. Brian Branch was a good find, but a lot of this, you can almost see Ryan Poles trying to replicate this, and got to give Ryan Poles one more season to see if some of these draft picks, like Jervon Dexter, could ultimately be a hell of a lot better than Aleem McNeil. Let's see who else here.
But why do we have to keep engaging him and talking about the Lions anyway?
I like Don.
Well, but Don would, if the Bears would have won, Don wouldn't be here right now. You know he wouldn't.
Sure.
He absolutely he wouldn't be here. Why don't you go get some pussy or something, Don? Come on. You wouldn't be here if the Lions lost.
He's right. He's right about that. I mean, why do you think Dan is here? Dan is here, and I'm looking for my fucking drop.
I'm here whether we win or we lose.
Where is it? No, that's the wrong one.
I would be willing to.
That's not the one. Where's the one? God damn! I wish I had this organized. This is not it
Jesus
either.
Christ, Aldo.
Do you remember saying
Jesus
that?
Christ, Aldo.
No.
Jesus Christ, Aldo.
I don't know what the context is at all.
This is the one I'm trying to find. Where is it? Oh, God damn it. It's the one
That might have been, yeah, I think I do remember saying that. I think that was when I was joking with Heidi when the thing with Phil, when Phil was gone, and I was like, bring Phil back. I think it's like, Jesus Christ, Aldo, when can Phil come back? Or something like that.
That's right. The biggest mistake I ever made was bringing him back. Anyways, I can't find my drop. I have a great drop of you saying, the only reason I'm here is because I can't get any pussy.
Did I say that?
Yes. I have it somewhere. Where is it? Jesus Christ. Oh,
I'm not getting any pussy tonight. That's why I'm here.
Why do I say, was I sick that night? Listen to my voice. It sounds something's wrong with it.
I'm not getting any pussy tonight. That's why I'm here.
I don't think that's me.
I think that
I'm not getting any pussy tonight. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's definitely you.
If that's me, it's overly compressed or something. Like,
Yeah.
that does not sound like me at all.
I agree.
But I'll agree. I probably wasn't getting laid that particular night. So
You're getting laid now, like almost every night, right?
No, we don't get to see each other that often. Again, she lives a couple hours away, so she's coming over this weekend. So I should be slamming it all weekend. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It might make her mad, you know.
You're working on Thanksgiving Day?
Yep, I am working 20 hours on Thanksgiving.
Holy shit, making that big cash. Holy cow.
The Bears
you
aren't
ready
playing, so who cares, you know?
Yeah, I do want to see that Packer-Lion game.
I don't ever want to watch the Packers. I never watch them unless they're playing us.
I'm hoping that game is obviously in Ford Field. I'm hoping that during the game that the Hindenburg blimp comes over and blows
like
up
Black Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping for some.
Where is Bruce Dern when we need him?
70,000 people, including members of the Lions and Packers, perished today on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh man. Yeah, I maybe a tie. Maybe we can root for it. Yeah, but you know, I don't really have any hostility toward the Lions. I truly don't. They've been down so long that they know what it's like for us to lose. So there you go. What now?
He wants to make a wager with you. Detroit comes to Chicago, and when you show.
I don't live in Chicago. I've been there 3 times already this year, and so I'm not going to be at that game. I'm sorry. I'm going to the Bears Browns game.
He's saying that with the next show after that game, you will show your face during the show.
I have no problem showing my face. I'm at work. There's no way for me to have a camera to show my face.
That's correct.
That's the reason why.
Don, you should show your face. Take down that ugly picture of that fucking $2.99 hat.
Exactly.
By the way, did you see John Oliver's show on Sunday?
No, I didn't watch
it. He did a fucking takedown on these dollar stores. Holy shit, man. Anyway, if you get a chance, check it out.
That's where that hat came from. That Lions hat.
That's what I thought of when I saw that hat.
What brand do you think that hat is?
That's fucking the Ratatouille hat. Made by mice in India.
I was going to say it's definitely made in Asia is what I was going to say. But yeah.
All right. Are you ready for the media mashup?
Yeah, I guess. But I want to, before you hit it, I'll just say I didn't follow. When the Bears lose, I usually don't want to hear from anyone. So all this is going to be foreign to me. I haven't really listened to anything. I just started cleaning house after the game, like not as a metaphor, like literally cleaning house.
No, I'm the same way. Yesterday I didn't have much to do for the bar room, and so I was able to compile all of these clips. So none of it is from today. All of it is from there's 2 clips from Sunday, and the other 4 are from Monday. And there's some good stuff here, including the future of Kurt Warner. Justin Fields, according to Kurt Warner. The emotion from Hamp and OB, which is always fucking worth the price of admission.
But Justin, but I just want to say, I assumed that someone was going to be negative about Justin. And I thought about this when we started the show. I was like, he's still only 24. I mean, why is his whole livelihood on the line at 24 years of age?
The thing is, and I can understand this point of view, is changing the quarterbacks, drafting a quarterback and trading Justin Fields allows for a salary cap reset at the quarterback position. Now, I don't really give that much of a fuck about that, but I have to be totally convinced that Justin is going to be worth $250 million. And so I'm still not quite there yet. And so what I'd like to see is the Bears draft a quarterback like late in the first round and keep Justin for next season, and then make a decision after Justin, hopefully under a new offensive coordinator who tailors the offense to his strengths. Then we'll have a better picture. But I'm beginning to agree with people who say that Luke Getsy has just been a major disservice to Fields' development. It took me a while, but I'm finally there.
Yeah, me too.
King Pookie Nation, I'm going to talk about the whole 1985 thing. Dan, did you see the Martellus Bennett tweet?
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if there was a longer portion of what he said, but essentially he was just like, they sell nostalgia there, and they're not going to win. They're doing a disservice by living in the past.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the other end of the media mashup. All right, it's 25 minutes long, so
that gives me time to go take a shit and listen on my phone.
I was just going to say that very same thing. Take a nice big long shit and make sure you use the bidet. Don't they have a bidet there in the West Virginia Raiders?
No, they do not. I've never used a bidet in my whole life. I've never seen one.
Really?
Never seen one.
I've stayed at a couple of fancy hotels in the United States, and of course, when I was in Europe, bidets are great, man. It's
clean your ass out real good.
Clean it really good. All right, here we go.
I want to know, can somebody check into the Bears and find out who is the guy that's giving the dance lessons from play to play and quarter to quarter for the Chicago Bears? Our quarterback runs with the ball, gains about 15 yards, whatever it was, and late in the game, and he starts dancing on the field. A stupid football team that is poorly coached, those are the people that lose those games. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, for 57 minutes, Eberflus and his group, they did a damn good job of not only getting this team prepared, but schematically being better than what we have seen Detroit be most of the season. And you're saying to yourself, maybe this is the game. In the pregame, I talked about that moment in time when we beat a really good team and we started saying, hey, let's buy in. We know that we're capable now. Now, 3 minutes to go, you got a 12-point lead. You got to do certain things, OB. You got to not only realize the clock is the enemy now. You're not playing Detroit no more. You're playing the damn clock. And yet we fell apart in little pieces. So much of the game, we did the smart thing. We were more physical. We burned, we owned the clock in the first half, OB.
Yeah, we went downfield with passes. I mean, rare, very rare.
We took Laporta, their rookie tight end. out of the mix until the last 3 minutes. We took St. Brown out except for maybe one catch the first 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden, we, as you used to say, start taking stupid pills. And then we started not doing the things you got to do and get up and press. Don't give them easy release. Do all those things. Buy time. Get the rush. And Jared Goff, and you can say what you want about that guy, he was our best player for 57 minutes.
He was the most valuable Bear.
Yes, he was. And then he flipped the switch, and just like, what was that coach's name in Arizona that said the Bears are who we thought they were? Well, guess what? We showed we're not ready to win yet.
I'll tell you what. This goes to these Bear players. You guys with your dancing, you make an interception. You run all the way down to the other end zone and you start dancing. You get another interception. You run down. Somebody makes a tackle. They run around. Can you guys stop dancing around and concentrate on the game, on first down, second down, third down, and fourth down? Cover punts, cover receivers, make tackles. And when you make a run over 10 yards, don't get up and start dancing.
Well, and certain teams, they don't do it. But, you know,
this team does it.
25 of the teams, most of them losers, they more worried about celebrating their individual accomplishment rather than the big picture of the team being able to win. It comes back and haunts you.
Dan, they think they had it won, and our quarterback again makes a run, and then he gets up. When the game is still going, and he's on the field, and he knows that the cameras are on him, and he starts dancing.
Wasn't good.
I have no words, folks.
You know, Dave Wannstedt likes to say, like, players win games, and that you have to go to the players that are the ones that can win the game. And I think everybody on defense seemed to be waiting for someone else to make a play at the end there. And obviously, we talked about, you know, throwing the ball to Tyler Scott in that situation. You almost have to avoid a touchdown there and just put the ball in DJ Moore's hands.
Yeah, it's another way to say it is, and it's just the same thing with the red zone when the field shrinks, and there's those situations. It's players, not plays, right? On your sheet, who do I want to get the ball to? And another way to say it is, I want my 2 first-round picks, Justin Fields and DJ Moore, to have the ball in their hands at some point, right? I don't want Herbert, a 6th-round pick. I don't want Tyler Scott, a 4th-round pick. And then on the second play of the drive, everyone's talking about, right, they get the ball back, they run it twice to Herbert. It's kind of what we talked about too, guys. It's why we worried about moving Kevin Jenkins, because now you don't have a strong side of your line anymore, a line that you want to run behind at that moment, right? It spreads everybody out, and I can't just focus on the right side of the line. And you want – I know what the read is there, but it is I think the linebacker's name is Derek Barnes. He runs a 4.6. Justin Fields runs a 4.4. They would have been one-on-one. I got to make sure Justin knows I want him, no matter what the read is. I want the ball in your hands if you're one-on-one versus their linebacker.
So what happens in those moments, Olin, do you think, with coaches or play callers in that? Does the anxiety overcome them? Do they not grasp what seems obvious to everyone else? Do they just want to defy common sense? Because I think the examples that you're mentioning, they seem pretty much obvious in real time, and then you look back and you think, why aren't they seeing the same game that we are?
That's a great question. Right? Why isn't there a chip on Aiden Hutchinson? Right on 30 seconds left, 2 timeouts. Darnell Wright and Aiden Hutchinson are one-on-one. Aiden Hutchinson again, second pick of the draft. Players, not plays at that moment. Right? I have to block this guy, no matter how good Darnell Wright played. This is the moment Aiden Hutchinson's been waiting for the whole game. So. I don't know if it's preparation at that moment. Maybe, David, what happens a lot of times now is we don't know what is said on the sideline. We don't know what's said before the game. Maybe it was said to the players, right? Maybe they did tell Justin, if you're one-on-one, keep the ball. After the game, I know he said in his post-game press conference that he thought that Derek Barnes was too wide, that the read was right to give the ball to Khalil Herbert. And I would argue with him in the building that it wasn't right, that you need to keep the ball there. And if I didn't make that clear enough, I apologize. But I didn't make it clear enough not to throw the deep ball to Tyler Scott in that moment of the game. I apologize, but that is again, we can go all the way to the 5 minutes left in the game, right? Even the drive before that, after his long run, after he danced, I thought, man, maybe this game is over. Maybe the things I'm worried about is not going to happen, right? He makes a great run, a great play. I think it was 3rd and long. They hand the ball off to Khalil Herbert on 3rd and 7. I don't understand that, right? I'm Ryan Poles. I'm trying to make a decision where if I had the first 2 picks of the draft, whether I want May or let's be honest about what we're doing here. If May and Williams are on the board, I have the first 2 picks of the draft. I have to decide whether I want them or Justin Fields. So I need the ball in Justin Fields' hands as much as possible in that moment. Because last year I could blame everybody else, right? We can go through week 9 through 11 if you guys want to. We went through a lot last year about is it Fields' fault? Is it the team's fault? Well, yesterday I had so many chances in that game for him to make the play. If I want to keep him over May and Williams, I need him to make that play. I got to make sure Getsy, if I'm Ryan Poles, I got to make sure Getsy and Eberflus understand I need to see this guy either throw the ball or make the play.
Today or Wednesday and go, man, this is the same old stuff. Like, how do they take this and try and move it in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably case by case, to be honest with you, because I think that there were some players in the locker room yesterday that were grasping and trying to really cling to the positives and the production and in all 3 phases that was evident yesterday. And then there were those guys that have experienced this many, 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 many different times, just staring through the wall of their locker stall and trying to come to grips with it. So this one's going to leave a mark, and it's definitely going to sting and hurt and shake some of the psyche once again. And it's just where we've been so often. And I think, one of the questions that I have to ask, and I don't know that I have an answer for it, is does this team sometimes just get a little too high on itself? And, we heard them be surprised at the way the Packers game unfolded in week 1. We heard them be surprised that they weren't able to carry over what happened in Washington to the Vikings game. And then yesterday within the game, it felt like maybe a premature exhale in those final 5 minutes. And the next thing you know, you're in that locker room, it's quiet, it's stunned, and you're a last place team just trying to figure out why you can't be one of these teams that can figure it out once in a while.
It's been a theme of the year. How do you handle success?
Yep.
What lessons do you learn? And when Eberflus says, I accentuated the positives after the game, you wish some of this stuff would go on during the game. That, hey, we're doing this well, we're going to keep doing this well, and don't stop.
Right. And, going back through it this morning, that drive that Detroit put together to make it 26-21 was just way too easy. It was just way too easy. And the last 50 yards of it, 51 yards, I think it was, took 13 seconds. You had a little pass to Jahmyr Gibbs. He gets out of a tackle, finds his way out of bounds to keep them from having to be in hurry-up mode and use more clock. And then you get that breakdown on the back end of a coverage for the 32-yard touchdown pass from Goff to Jamison Williams. It just can't happen. Those are veteran defensive backs on the back end of your defense in a game-on-the-line moment, and you just allow them to go right down the field and score. And Colleen Kane said to me at the time, she said, they're going to lose, aren't they? And I said, I don't know. Well, let's see where it goes. And then later on Sunday night, she said, we kind of knew they were going to lose after they hit that touchdown pass to Jamison Williams, and we shouldn't know that when a team has the ball up 5 in the final minutes that they're going to unravel. But it's just kind of what we've come to expect from a team that hasn't shown an ability to finish, hasn't shown an ability to focus through the finish line, and now here they are, 2-11 in one-score games under Matt Eberflus, and you can draw whatever conclusions you want out of what is obviously a worrisome trend.
Kurt, that was a hell of a performance by Justin Fields and the Bears, and literally no team in NFL history has ever lost a game where they were +3 in the turnover margin and held the ball for over 40 minutes. So we are celebrating that we witnessed history yesterday. What's your takeaway from that performance by Justin Fields?
I thought they really played to Justin's strengths. Maybe the first time this year when he's been in there where I really felt like the game plan was very similar to last year, but catered around the things that Justin does well. There was a whole bunch of quarterback designed runs, or at least, quarterback design run options off of what they were doing. They got Justin out in space in terms of throwing the football, half rolls, naked bootlegs, things like that for him to be a creator. And then they took their shots downfield. And so, I don't think it's any surprise that he played really, really well in a game plan like that, because I think we've seen that, numerous times over the last couple of years that he's done that. I think the question that continues to remain is, A, can you play that way and be successful week in and week out, and especially for the long term, with an athletic quarterback? Can they stay healthy? Can they, continue to take that kind of pounding on their body year in and year out, week in and week out? And so that I think remains the question, as we were talking last week, trying to figure out, is Justin their guy moving forward? If they can play this way and win the way we saw them play yesterday, I believe the answer without a doubt is yes. But they haven't been able to win playing that way. So do we still need to see more from the standpoint of, okay, we can't always have that game plan. We've got to be able to drop back and play a little more conventional football and show that we can win that way when needed, is still a question I think you have to answer when deciding if Justin's going to be your guy for the long haul.
And that's what they did at the very beginning of the year, Kurt. They tried to get him to play more of that style that you're talking about, and it didn't work out. So, yeah, that's the thing. 18 rushes, 14 of them were either on zone read keepers or on designed runs. He's missed 10 games in 2.5 years. If you were a general manager, how much would that scare you when planning for the future?
It would scare me a lot. When you're talking about, franchise quarterbacks are going to make $250 million. They're going to be, take up so much of the salary cap. And I get it, rightfully so. If you have one of those guys, they're difference makers. You pay them and you're willing to pay them. But when a guy is, based a lot around that athleticism, that is a concern. I mean, it was a concern in the offseason with Lamar Jackson, who's a guy that we know is a franchise quarterback, guy that's been an MVP, but he had a chance to kind of hit the open market or at least explore who else is interested. And, we can talk about what the reasons were that nobody was interested, but I believe part of the factor was, hey, we're going to have to pay this guy $250 million, and he's missed all these games the last couple of years because of injuries, because he is out there, running and holding on to the ball and trying to make plays that maybe other guys don't or can't make. And you have to kind of, balance that risk and reward, or, figure out, is it worth it? And how long can they play that way? And what if they do get banged up? How much does that change what we can do offensively, or even, can they even be out on the field because they're putting themselves in harm's way? So I just, that is a tough question to answer, because for guys like Justin and guys like Lamar, it is such a different making tool. I mean, we've seen it. Those guys are so good athletically, and they can do things that other guys can't do, period. So you don't ever want to take that out of the game, but you want to limit that to the moments when you really need it, because the more you expose somebody to those things, the more wear and tear on their body, the more opportunities to be hurt. I think it was us that was talking about it a couple weeks ago, that, there's a reason that running backs have a shorter shelf life, because they take a pounding. And not that a quarterback's ever going to take that pounding, but those things add up, and they change the way that you're able to play as you get older. And so teams that want to, sign a franchise quarterback, they want to have a guy that they know will be that same guy year in and year out for the long haul and, for the extent of their contract.
I thought this was a coach who went into the fetal position, rolled over. You're up 9. I don't really need the field goal to get to 12. 2 touchdowns beat your ass anyway. At 4th and 1, I would have gone for up 6. I understand why he went for the 3 to go up 9. But you're 3 and 7. Let's show some aggressiveness.
No, I think that was the right decision. You got 2 scores in the fourth quarter. You have 2 scores in the fourth quarter, you win the game. That's period. It's inexcusable for a defense to go out there and allow 2 75-yard drives to score. That's the gist of it.
I think we should talk about that a little bit. And what was the difference for you
scheme-wise for the Bears defensively, the first 3 quarters and that fourth quarter?
You know what? It was the critical situation. It comes down to critical situation. You have an opportunity where Tremaine Edmonds has an opportunity to tackle a guy before the first down, which will lead to, I believe it's either a third or a fourth down. I believe it leads to a fourth down. Mm-hmm. You get off the field, you know what I mean? Or you hold them to 3 points. That's crucial. You know, he misses that tackle, and the tackle you have to make in the open field. Jahmyr Gibbs has his back to him. Okay, you sprint down, you make that tackle, you get down, and the defense gets off the field. All right, offense gets on, you run that clock out. You know, there's another situation where there's a corner route, and you can see from the snap of the ball, from the hinge of Jalen Johnson, it's either cover 2 or cover 4. Okay, now either one, neither of those defenses require a safety to be or a wide receiver to be deeper than a safety. Okay, and you have Eddie Jackson back there, who is the most veteran corner or DB in the backfield. Mm-hmm. His eyes were off. His eyes weren't where they were supposed to be. Should have been backpedal on the as soon as that ball was snapped, and should have been over the top. And he should have defended that pass. So you know, it's not like the call was bad. The execution was bad. The coach called the right play. The players didn't get it done in the critical situation. You can go out, you can play 3.5 quarters. They took the ball away, did all those great things. But in a critical situation, you're up 2 scores in the fourth quarter. You couldn't ask for a better situation defensively.
So I want to go back to the Bears' last possession, not the safety. The last possession where they went 3 and out.
Okay.
First play is off tackle, gain of maybe a yard.
Yep.
Second play is a read option. Justin talked about it. I would have preferred to see him keep the ball and try and beat the linebacker, 55 Barnes. But he was there. I get it. I just would put my money on... It's not you there. That's Barnes. I would have put my money that Justin could get around the edge and beat him.
Okay.
Maybe not.
All right. But your read is if he stays, you hand it off. If he comes, then you keep. Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
So he said, I made the correct read. 55 was there. I handed it off. Herbert gets stuffed. Now we're on third down. Either, if you're going to be conservative, kick field goals instead of going for, then run the football and force them to use their last time out. But he took the deep shot. He had DJ Moore dragging across the middle. Mm-hmm. He took the deep shot. Tyler Scott has to catch the football.
Absolutely.
So take us through that series.
I mean, as soon as he snaps the ball, he gets his read, you know, and I can see the read. I can see the way that the DBs were dropping. Everybody can see that he had a step and he had a window. It was a great window. But you got to make the play, you know, and everybody can say, you know, hey, it's got to go to DJ Moore. You should go to DJ Moore in this position. We are professional athletes. We are, okay. And as much as great as DJ Moore is, Tyler Scott, he's playing for the Chicago Bears. All right. You throw the ball up, go catch it. Catch the doggone ball. You know, Tremaine Edmonds, make the tackle. You are a professional. All right. That's what it is. That's what it really comes down to. If the ball is there, what are you out there for? You know, and so that's to me, it wasn't a bad read. It was a good read. You know, based on the situation, it was a great throw too. You know, and so I don't look back on, oh well, he should have done this, he should have done that. You know, the play was there to be made. You have to make the play.
Yeah, I say this to Cap all the time. With these games, I know it's just easy to say that coach didn't put that player in the right position. However, when you lifted all those weights and you put all that time in, you got to be able to execute at some point. Some point's got to be on you as well. I mean, this whole thing where it becomes a lazy narrative at some point, Lance, where it's just like the coaches are bad. Okay, we can replace the coaching staff. There's no problem with that. But at some point, these veteran players are getting paid. They got to be able to execute.
This is the argument that Alex Brown has all the time. It's like, you know, and it's just what you're saying. Like, we can go get new coaches, but if the players aren't executing what the coaches put out, it ain't going to matter what coach you bring in. It's not going to matter.
That wasn't the coaching mistake that Jalen Johnson dropped a pick 6 that led to a touchdown 2 plays later at the goal line.
He was brutal.
And the example was the week before with the drop picks. You know, the Jack Sanborn in the fourth quarter. You know, and they're too precious. He gets that pick, you know, and nobody's going to stop him from getting to the end zone.
He's gone.
He's gone. And then, you know, and to compound on top of this is you want to be paid like the top corners in the league.
Correct.
These are the plays that you're supposed to make. You have to make those plays if you want to have that argument.
I can tell you who else's career here in Chicago is over. Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson's career in Chicago is over.
The last 4 minutes, the last 2 drives, don't watch the tape of Eddie Jackson.
You can't try to fool the world of anything. You can't fool the world of anything at this point. He was exposed.
It's rough.
He was exposed in that game.
Yeah.
So we thank Eddie Jackson for his efforts. And the dreams of Jalen Johnson being paid in the city of Chicago, the kind of money he wants, will not happen. Some other team is going to have to be fooled into that. But it won't be Chicago. You're not getting 20+ million from the Chicago Bears. You might fool somebody else. Somebody else with a garbage load of salary cap might be fooled into giving Jalen Johnson the money, but you can't give a good player great money. He's a good player. Harm.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's going to play in this league for 10 years.
He dropped the pick 6. I know that.
Dropped the pick 6.
That shouldn't happen.
You know what the guy from Dallas did?
He made a great play for another pick 6.
He intercepted the ball. He turned over, popped up, ran in for a touchdown. His 4th of the year. That's a great player. That great player making great plays will make great amount of money. That's the difference. Turn on the film of that kid and turn on the film of Jalen Johnson. Interference penalty once again.
Not 4 interceptions on the year. He's got 6. He's got 4 pick 6s.
Return for touchdowns
on the year. Deron Bland has 4 pick 6s
in your
for the Dallas Cowboys.
After you have 2 interceptions in one game, your second and third, you're up there giving everybody the dollar signs and the I want to get paid.
And he dropped the pick
You
6.
will get paid somewhere else.
And the Bears would have had a 14-0 lead, right, at that point?
Yeah, with 14-0 instead of 7-7 on the next play.
7-7.
Great players make great plays. What did a good player do? A good player batted the ball down.
And it's like good teams and bad teams and teams that just lose. I mean, good teams. Jalen Johnson makes the pick 6. Tyler Scott doesn't pull up his route and makes the catch, and the Bears probably ice the game.
Right.
When they took the lead with 4:15 left, when they made the lead, 12, which we'll get into that decision. I don't disagree with that. When they made the lead 12 with 4:15 left, ESPN Analytics gave the Bears a 98.2% chance.
And the 2% of failure was Eberflus.
It's not even 2 full percent,
right? But
1.8%.
I got you, but it said 1.8%, and then it said EE, and I'm like E Cummings. I go, who's this for? No, it said for Eberflus effect.
Yeah.
You're muted, Aldo.
Fuck, I hate it when I do that. Dan, did you hear the part where OB was complaining?
I heard it all.
Justin
I heard it all. I was shitting for about 10 minutes, but I heard it all. I love that show, but I just disagree. Like, I think that's one of those, I hate to use a stereotype on OB and say he's just old, but that sounded like one of those moments, the stereotype of the old man saying, get off my fucking lawn.
Yep.
I can't agree that Justin dancing after a 29 or 30-yard run is that big of a deal. Now, if he's annoyed also by anytime the defense gets a turnover, they take off running for the camera. I get that. I'm annoyed by that too.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he showed, maybe if he just pumped his fist in the air, we were all like, yeah. But he danced a little bit. So what? I don't have an issue with that. I just don't. I disagree with that.
I'm totally with you. To me, it made OB look like
he was 107 years old.
Exactly. And he has said things before, and I love the guy. I mean, he's one of the reasons I fell in love with the Chicago Bears, because there's this old NFL films where he's interviewed and he's got that great deep baritone voice, and he was talking about men. These are men, goddammit. These are men who go out there and put their lives. And I was enthralled. And then John Facenda comes in with this deep voice. I was like, this is a sport for me, man.
Right.
But now when he says shit like that and he talks about, defenses nowadays, he doesn't understand the new defensive concept. Or he's, you're giving them so much room. And that's how they play now. They play these umbrella defenses now. And you try to get a 4-man rush. And so it's like the game has passed him by, but nonetheless, he is still the most entertaining post-game show in history. OB, first of all, I was OB and Doug Buffon, but now with Dan Hampton, when he's not breathing too heavily into the mic, that he scares me he's going to have a heart attack.
Who was second on the rundown?
It was wasn't it Olin Kreutz?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just did look. I don't want Olin to kick my ass here, but I have to. Like, to me, Tyler Scott, and maybe this isn't what Olin was saying, but to me, Tyler Scott is paid to be a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He was wide open. He beat single coverage. That's the throw. Like, you can't criticize Justin for not throwing to DJ Moore there when the guy's paid to catch balls and he's open. Right. And Justin made the right throw. The motherfucker was open. He should have caught it. Like, exactly. I don't know how anyone can criticize Justin for that. I just don't get it.
I've been critical of Justin when there were guys wide open going down the field and say, how come he doesn't throw it? Right. So I'm not going to say he shouldn't have thrown it, especially to DJ Moore, who was double covered. He's doing what he was taught to do as a coach. Read the play, and I would have been livid if he would have thrown it into double coverage. It probably would have been intercepted. He made the right throw. He made a perfect throw. It was beautiful. Applause. I got to tell you, Dan, that as bad as this loss was, as a kick to the nuts, and my nuts are still swollen after this loss, there was so many good things about this. It's like, all right, come on, Justin, let's build on this against Minnesota. Yes. Let's show everybody that you can pick up these exotic blitzes that they come with. Let's get 250 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns, 50 yards rushing. Let's build on this and finish the season strong. I'm rejuvenated a little bit by his performance and some of the other things in this game. You and I, there was a part of the season where we were like, fucking Justin just doesn't have it. And then he comes out and throws 4 touchdown passes against the Commanders. And then we're starting to think, well, maybe we were wrong.
Yeah. Okay. The worst part about Sunday, other than the actual defeat, is that David Montgomery got the game-winning touchdown. To me, I just feel like I personally was kicked in the ball bag on that one.
Yeah.
What's something I meant to tell you at the beginning of the show. This is absolutely true. I'm embarrassed to say that I went through a drive-thru before I got here tonight. I didn't eat the best food in the world, which is why I was shitting. But so I went through a McDonald's drive-thru on the way over. The kid who's taking my money, because I actually still like to pay in cash, which I know is an aberration. The kid that's taking my money, probably 18, 19, young girl, probably born in like 2006 or something. She looks at me, and I had a Bears jacket that's good for rain because it's raining here today, and a Bears hat on. So she says, "Oh, you like the Chicago Bears?" And she's like, I have a Bears t-shirt. And I said, "Oh, you like the Bears too?" She's like, "Well, I like the shirt a lot. I wear a lot." I was like, "You don't want to be a Bears fan." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "Because it's miserable. It's miserable. There's lots of losing. I'm a shell of my former self. I'm always down and upset." I was like, "Look, man, I care a lot." I was like, I've been in Chicago 3 games already this year, and I'm going to see them in Cleveland again." And then for like a half hour, she was asking me questions like, "How long does it take to get there? Like, where do you fly?" I was literally in the drive-thru talking Bears with her for 20 minutes. But my point is, I told this kid, don't be a Bears fan.
Oh, wow. Was she cute?
She was a kid, man. I didn't look at her that way.
I'm not talking about for you. I'm talking about for me.
Oh, yeah, she was a cute kid. But I mean, to me, she looked like she could be somebody's daughter. And I mean that in the, you know what I mean? She just was, I am just way too old for it. Like, I didn't look at her that way at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I've stopped.
But she was fun to talk to, though. But I told her, don't be a Bears fan. You don't want the agony.
Yeah. I stopped doing that about a week or two ago. All right. The last point I want to make is, do you think that the Bears would have won this game if Marvin Harrison Jr. was the receiver opposite DJ Moore?
You know how many games I've seen Marvin Harrison Jr. play? 0.
Probably one.
0. I have no fucking idea. I know I didn't like his dad. I fucking hated his dad, but his dad, I guess his dad's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And his dad, he's better than his dad because he's bigger.
Well, I was going to say, everybody talks about him. He's got a name. I'm rooting for Michigan Saturday because of Harbaugh. So I want him to lose Saturday. But yeah, if you told me that we had, in theory, 2 number 1 receivers, and he's supposed to be one, and DJ is one, then yeah, maybe that picks up the slack, and maybe we win that way. But Tyler Scott has to catch that. He's a pro.
Yes, indeed.
He's a pro. That's his gig, man. Now, I still have more faith in Scott than I do Velas, but I'm worried. I'm worried that Tyler's a bust too. I mean, he's had several turnovers this year as well, and like, what are you doing? That's your moment to show, like, I'm worthy of my pick. I'm open. Like, fucking throw me the ball, and then like you stop running.
Yeah, when he came out of college, that was the one knock on him, is that his hands were not super reliable. Not that he was a terrible pass catcher, but some reports said that his hands could be a little suspect at times, and so he's got to improve that. He's got to hit the jugs machine and catch 200-300 of those every practice, because if not, then he is not going to be the heir apparent to Darnell Mooney, who I believe the Bears are not going to re-sign.
I don't think Mooney's earned it at this point, at least not a big contract. I mean, last 2 years, he hasn't really done much. And with Scott, to me, that wasn't so much a drop as he just quit running inexplicably. But at the time of the draft, I thought he was a good pick only because I heard Randy Moss, who obviously is from here, and I saw him play against us forever in Minnesota, is a good wide receiver. He knows what he's talking about. And Randy said that this was one of his favorite receivers in the draft. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, okay, if Randy Moss is saying that, he must have some skill. And well, Randy Moss catches that. 1998 rookie Randy Moss takes that and goes to the fucking house.
One hands it, right?
Yeah. So why can't we get that guy? Is that Marvin Harrison Jr. there?
That's Marvin Harrison. Yes.
Okay, then keep Justin and draft that guy.
Yes. See, that's the plan that I'm thinking about now is draft Marvin Harrison. That way you got DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison, and then you drop the best draft or trade down with that next pick. It could be the 3rd pick, the 4th pick.
But do you go from 1 to 2 and get Marvin? Because whoever's going to trade up with you is going to want a quarterback, right?
Yes. If you are assured they're not going to steal Marvin Harrison, yes. So whatever team
is he worthy of a pick of drafting him first and not trading?
I believe he is, and I hate to say that because my whole bloodline says you don't draft a wide receiver that high, but this guy, he's a fucking talent that transcends the game. He could be special.
So if you draft Marvin Harrison, regardless if you trade down to say 2nd or you draft him 1st overall,
right?
Then do you keep Justin unless one of these other quarterbacks falls to your next pick?
I think if Justin plays as well as I expect him to play the last 6 games of the season, I do think you keep Justin for his 4th year.
And you can still franchise him his 5th year if you don't give him his 5th year.
Well, you give him the 5th. You give him the 5th year option, right? You're right. You can still have the franchise tag available. So you're not going to be missing out on a quarterback. The key thing is that Justin has to instill some confidence on guys like me, and I think guys like you, who feel like he could be the guy, but sometimes he's a mistake. And I'm not excusing Luke Getsy's poor coaching, which has retarded his progress. Can I say retarded now?
Well, in that context, you can, certainly. Okay. I think that, Justin, the thing I worried about heading into the game was, has all this losing, has it hurt him? But he came out looking like was on fire, had great confidence. But then again, you see the fumble at the end. And which I'm not blaming him. I know he took a deep drop, and I know that he fumbled. It seems like all of our quarterbacks fumble when they get hit, whether it's Jay or Trubisky or Fields. I know that, but I still think he played a tremendous game and certainly good enough to win. I just hope that fumble doesn't make him start doubting himself.
Yep. Tooch writes, I was afraid it was going to be the segue.
Speaking of mentally challenged, John said no.
That's right. Well, it is time for Johnny Santucci to join us. Let me pick the appropriate background here. Let's go there, and then let's go here, and then let's bring him in here. Oh, no, I need to pick.
No muting, John. No muting.
No muting, amigo. There he is, John Santucci. You are muted, by the way, John. So help a brother out.
I'm back. I'm out. Yeah.
All right, brother. How are you,
fellas, man? Doing okay. Too bad a little pinched nerve back here, man. It's just causing me
you're getting old, man.
Pain. Yeah. Yep, old Bears fans, Aldo and Tooch.
The oldest.
I feel like we're about to go to a funeral, Aldo.
Oh, no shit. Let me ask you, what was your mood like after the game Sunday?
Depressed and pissed off, I guess. I mean,
okay.
We had that game. Like, I didn't want to I was like writing Bears State of Affairs. You know, they're a lot easier when the Bears lose for me to write this thing. It's like,
yeah, it's true. They're more fun.
My immediate reaction to, after ruminating on it for a while, and of course, in Bears State of Affairs, I was like, my thought today is, how the fuck do we go backwards after firing Matt Nagy?
I love that. Yeah, how in the hell can you do that? How can you pick a worse coach than Matt Nagy? It's like, all right, you start off with a really bad coaching choice in Trestman. Let's make it a little worse, Matt Nagy. Oh, let's make it even more worse.
Matt Eberflus. Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, I'm really looking forward to your Bear State of Affairs. You texted Dan and me saying that it was going to be on fire, so let's start it off this way.
All right, Bears State of Affairs, 2023 NFL season, week 12. What is happening? Barflies. Well, the Bears played their 11th game of the season on the road in Motown versus the Detroit Lions on Sunday. And man, they really had us fooled. We all thought the Bears were on their way to winning their second game in a row. And who could blame us? The Bears led by 12 points with less than 5 minutes left in the game. We led by 12 with less than 5 minutes. Eventually, Bears would go soft in the second half and fall 31-26 to the Lions. And the Bears now find themselves at 3-8 on the season. The Bears played really well in the first half, especially Justin Fields, who returned from a thumb injury after missing the better part of 4 games. The Bears took the opening drive 75 yards, culminating in a Dante Foreman touchdown. There were rollouts and play-action passes. There were Justin Fields runs, too. In fact, Justin Fields played really well in his return to action. He and DJ Moore connected all game long, with Fields dropping a beautiful pass into Moore in the third quarter. It was good for a 39-yard touchdown. Man, I really like that. In a game where Fields would finish with over 100 yards rushing and the Bears would get 3 interceptions off of Jared Goff, this was a game the Bears should have won. The Lions gave the Bears every opportunity to win, and the Bears still could not get the victory. It was a monumental and historic defeat because since 1932, no NFL team with a +3 turnover margin of 40 minutes of time of possession had ever lost a game. Teams were 48-0 until the Bears played the Lions on Sunday. So it's not an overstatement to call this a historic loss. According to ESPN, the Bears had a 98.8% chance to win the game when they led 26-14 with 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. However, it's apparent to Bears fans that ESPN analytics failed to take into account the Bears coaching staff. Yeah, Bears fans, on the other hand, felt like it was a 98.8% chance that Matt Eberflus and the Bears coaching staff would blow this one. In fact, I was wondering just how the Bears coaching staff would blow this one. By being too conservative instead of continuing to do what was bringing them success in the first half, by playing not to lose rather than playing to win. It's all of the above, and it hasn't been the first time this coaching staff has blown leads in games they should have won. The Bears' loss to the Lions broke the record for biggest blown lead in the Matt Eberflus era, set in week 4 of this season when they had a 98.1% chance of winning versus the Broncos. The loss to the Broncos also broke the previous record for the biggest blown lead. That game was also against the Lions in the Matt Eberflus era, originally set in week 10 of last season, where they had a 95.2% chance of winning against Detroit when they had a lead and then lost. Matt Eberflus has been the head coach for 4 of the top 50 blown leads in Chicago Bears history in just over a season and a half. He's coached 28 games, which means that roughly 1 out of every 7 games is a historic choke job. With a victory in reach, Matt Eberflus went conservative on both offense and defense and blew a 2-score lead with 3 minutes left in the game. There is no one else to blame. Matt Eberflus got everything he could have asked for on Sunday. 4 turnovers on defense, a relatively efficient game from his offense, 250-plus combined yards from his quarterback, and a good old clock-killing drive in the fourth quarter that put his team up by 12 points. And his coaching decisions still resulted in a loss. The guy is cursed. Quote, the disappointment was the finish, said Eberflus after the game. No shit. The finish, yeah. That was pretty disappointing, coach. Yeah, as Barnum personality Ross Reed said on X recently, that is also what Eberflus's wife says. Kaboom! I love Ross. I love you, Ross. Contrast Eberflus's comments with those of Lions head coach Dan Campbell when asked about Justin Fields. He said, quote, man, he played really well, really well. He's a hell of an athlete. He's tough. He causes issues. Bottom line, Justin Fields played well enough to beat a 7-2 team on the road in a hostile environment, only to be let down by his coaches. In fact, Justin Fields is really just another talented quarterback to be let down by the Bears organization. Here, let me give you a little history lesson a la Bears fan Dan. There was Jay Cutler, who had 7 offensive coordinators in 9 years and took the blame for everything. Jeez. There was Mitch Trubisky, who had 3 offensive coordinators in 4 years and took the blame for everything. Now we have Justin Fields, who has had 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years and is taking the blame for everything. The Bears have had 5 head coaches since 2009 and 13 different play callers. It's organizational failure. The Bears simply don't know what to do with quarterbacks. They never have. Last week on Bears State of Affairs, I said the most important task for the Bears organization was to evaluate if Justin Fields was the guy, the franchise, the quarterback of the future. Today, I'm not so sure that's the most important task anymore. After Sunday's monumental collapse, the Bears should be evaluating whether or not this coaching staff is good enough to coach Justin Fields next season. As far as Matt Eberflus, he's now 0-9 against the NFC North, 6-22 as a head coach. He's yet to beat a team with a winning record. He's simply not the guy. He cannot stay past 2023. If Matt Eberflus were an ice cream sundae, he'd be 1 small scoop of vanilla in a kitty cup. If you ordered an Andy Reid or a Dan Campbell sundae, it's like moose tracks with hot fudge, chopped nuts, whipped cream, and a cherry on top. That's what we have, a vanilla scoop in a kitty cup. Last Sunday's game saw an encouraging and impressive performance from Justin Fields. Unfortunately, the end result was a gut punch that left Bears fans wondering, how the hell do we go backwards after firing Matt Nagy? And that is Bears State of Affairs!
That was good. That is the great Johnny Santucci, one of the greatest Bears essayists I've ever heard. Really well done, my man.
Thank you.
By the way, this new computer, I love it, man. I love it. It's not freezing up. You're right on your cues. You look good. The blue screen looks awesome.
Thank God. Yep. Yeah. I think this is Aaron Mikulski's basement. He doesn't know I'm here. Aaron, I'm downstairs.
I was going to say, the only bad thing about that background is that there is the hint of, like you might have like a 12-year-old boy locked up in that closet.
I did a search for Bears Man Cave on Google. I downloaded this, and the guys on Tailgate or Joe and or on Fantasy Football Goon or Tailgate, they were like, "Isn't that Aaron Mikulski's?"
It does.
Aaron's gonna watch the videos, like, "What's Tooch doing in my basement?"
We gotta have Aaron on.
Let's check and see if Tooch is downstairs.
We gotta have Aaron on soon. All right, guys. I want to get your comments on the latest X post from former Bears tight end Martellus Bennett. Did you see this, Tooch?
Yep, I did.
Let me, for the audience that's not aware, let me read it.
I texted that to you.
You did, yeah.
Might have, yeah.
I have it on graphic form here, so let me read it to everyone, and then get you and Dan's comments on it. Martellus started off by saying, Bears ownership lacks futurism. The entire business model is built on selling the past. The 85 Bears, they're always trying to recreate that old product instead of buying into and producing a new product. The owners are okay with losing a game, but not the brand built on the past. The Bears need an entire rebrand. Top to bottom, they need ownership that is going to transition the organization into the future. They never protect their players publicly. You can't trust the organization as a player because you can't relate to the leadership. They can't communicate with the youth. Their audience is a legacy audience, and they're afraid of changing because they don't want to lose out on these legacy fans. They make them money. Nostalgia is the greatest marketing tool. I'd be interested in seeing fan growth on the Bears and on these last two. The question is,
without more wins.
Yeah, really. The question is, who are the Bears of tomorrow? We're always pitched the Bears of yesterday. What are the plans of the future? The lack of creativity is astonishing. Yesterday ain't winning today. Doing what's best for your players is what's best for your franchise. Get creative and help them do what they do best. Coaches always want players to adapt, but never want to adapt their schemes for their players. So, Tooch, it sounds like you agree with Mr. Martellus Bennett.
Oh, it's hard not to. I mean, it's like he makes a ton of good points and raises a ton of good questions. Do the Bears lack foresight? It would appear so. We keep or is the 85 Bears all we have to sell anyways? Because it's been almost 30 years or 40 years of frustration, right? And afraid to keep the fan base, older generation of fans like you and me. We ain't getting any younger. And bringing youth into the Bears fandom, like even Dan Aguirre just told a little story about don't be a Bears fan, young lady. It's not the environment to bring in young fans. But I think the most salient point you can gather from that is that last year and right before the season this year, we felt that the Bears of tomorrow were guys like Justin Fields. That we all had super high hopes. The season really, it couldn't have gone worse if you scripted it to go worse than this. I mean, the only thing that could go worse is like a jetliner crashing into Dallas Hall for this season. But yeah, Martellus is great, just great. We have to do something. Although you and I come from the marketing advertising world, and to keep marketing the same legacy like Martellus describes, it's eventually self-defeating.
Dan, your thoughts?
I disagree across the board. I loved Marty as a player. I don't understand. First off, if he's got some kind of example of when he was a Bear that he felt they didn't protect him, then just fucking say it. Don't be beating around the bush here. It's like low-hanging fruit. Anytime somebody doesn't like the Bears, they're like,
state of affairs.
The McCaskies have to sell the team. I'm just saying, but it's like anyone just says that because it's like an easy fucking line. It's like that percentage that you said, they had a 98.2% chance. Who the fuck? What is that? Where did that derive from? They just make this shit up. Why was it 98.6? Why was it 98.7?
If you watch, that comes from if you're watching like a sporting event on your phone on the ESPN app, it'll have during the game while the score is going.
No, I know where you assert. I'm saying, but where did they? It's a made up number. Is what I'm. These next gen stats. They made that shit completely up. It's fucking. It's not reality. There's no way to quantify if the Bears had a 98.6% chance to win with the 12-point lead. That's just completely made up. And the thing with Martellus. Yeah, I get it. The Bears market their past, but why wouldn't you if you were the oldest fucking franchise in the league? That doesn't mean they're not trying to win. They've got one of the newest style quarterbacks in the league in Justin Fields. They've got a team president and a general manager that both happen to be black. If they were stuck in the past, they would be hiring old white men. You can't say that the Bears aren't trying to win. Then maybe they're not winning, but you can't say everyone always says, oh, the McCaskies have to sell because it sounds good. But they're trying to win. Maybe they do. Maybe the Bears will be better off if they sell, but it doesn't mean that they're not trying. I just don't think that you can say that George McCaskey's not trying to win. And yeah, they market their past because they've been around since 1920. Why wouldn't you?
Right. I got to say this. I totally agree with you, Dan Aguirre. I think that Martellus is way off base here. And first of all, for such a guy who is such a goofball in the National Football League, since the very first time I saw him on Hard Knocks when he was a member of the Dallas Cowboys and the tight ends coach is giving him some instruction and he's looking at the camera and rolling his eyes, I knew this guy was a goofball. An incredibly talented, talented, creative guy, come up with children's books and so forth. I totally like the guy, but he should not be offering public advice like this. So let's start with Bears ownership lacks futurism. That's a artistic title for a stage.
I wouldn't have used that word either.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because he's an artist, so he's using futurism in the wrong way. First of all, futurism died decades ago. It was alive and vibrant for 10, 20 years and it died. So it's ironic that he would choose that artistic phrase, futurism. So that's a mistake. Secondly, I have bought maybe, I don't know, a couple of things from the 85 Bears marketing, and it has nothing to do with that's the only thing this team is marketing. It's bullshit. They're not using the 85 Bears as a crutch, at least not in my eyes. And, I'm with Dan too, that Justin Fields, the African-American general manager and vice president, I mean, that's futurism, bringing in diverse thought. When they went to a search committee to look for coaches, they brought in a diverse search committee. So I don't know what he's talking about.
And look, they hired Lovey in 2004.
Yes. I don't get what he's talking about. He's totally wrong. The problem with the Chicago Bears is that they have made bad hiring decisions with their head coaches and some of the general managers too.
And some of the draft picks didn't manifest into greatness.
Yeah.
Right. I don't get it.
The people they hired to draft didn't draft well, basically.
I get it that he meant innovation, but okay, so this is what happened. They hired Mark Trestman to be the head coach because they thought he was going to bring an innovative style. Right. And he was. That offense was one of the best offenses in the National Football League. But guys like Martellus Bennett took advantage of him and didn't allow himself to be coached by Mark Trestman. Right. And so that was part of the problem. Yeah. It was fucking Martellus that was the problem, not the lack of innovation. And
Alshon Jeffrey.
Right. If these players would have supported the innovative efforts by that nerdy looking stupid ass coach, maybe we would have won games and gone into the playoffs. So I just think it's really bad. A bad look for Martellus to be telling people the Bears are this, the Bears are that. Fucking look in the mirror, dude. Look in the fucking mirror. Come on this show and tell us what you fucking really mean. Because I don't think
fans don't care what Martellus Bennett says, to be honest.
I wish he would have.
Some people.
I think maybe he does have some kind of deep-rooted, maybe there's something he felt that, maybe he was hurt. They didn't defend him somehow. Why? What's his motive? Because he said that they don't defend their players. Maybe he has some incident from, say, the 2014 season that he's salty about. Well, then lead with that. Use that as your example. Don't just beat around the bush and say, oh, well, you're taking these shots when it seems like you have a motive. Well, then tell us what your motive is what I'm saying. Maybe he's right. Maybe he has a good reason to feel that way. And then maybe we can support his argument better.
Totally agree.
He
totally
agree. He's been stoned.
Which he has been known to do.
And, the whole time that he was here, it was a couple years, his brother was constantly, how recently the guy Diggs and it was in Minnesota and Buffalo, his brother was advocating for him to leave the Bills after they lost to Denver. And he just said, oh, well, I can't control what my brother says. That's what Martellus did. His brother that was with the Seahawks was constantly ripping Cutler. his fucking quarterback. So he never stopped that. When you talk about, I liked Martellus. I thought he's a good player. But when you talk about poor team chemistry, he was a part of that. And like you said, we had a great innovative offense at the time, and he was a part of the demise of that offense. He helped bring the culture down.
Yeah. See, Ryan RK from the Barfly Tailgate Show is saying that he's sorry he agrees with Bennett on this one. How many times have we said that this organization has an archaic way of thinking? I do agree with what you're saying there, Ryan, that this team, John Buffon describes it as the Bears run it like a ma and pa diner. But here they are. They just hired probably one of the hottest candidates for executive vice president that was available in Kevin Warren. The guy built the stadium that players say is the second best place to play.
And they're trying to get that stadium right now.
Exactly.
They're trying to get him to build us that same stadium, not exactly but they're innovative, trying to get a stadium to host a Super Bowl, the NCAA. They're looking to make these options. I feel like it's just easy to criticize the McCaskies, man. It's just something the Bear fans do.
Yeah. So I'm not quite agreeing with you there, RK, because I do think that there have been changes. You know, it's like the old narrative. The Bears don't spend any money. What are you talking about? Guys, we spent money on Khalil Mack. We got
Julius Peppers.
Montez Sweat. You know,
Jay Cutler.
You can argue that it was, maybe applied to the wrong players. That would be a legitimate argument.
Yeah.
But that we don't.
They've tried to spend to win. We put this back to rest 6-7 years ago, Aldo, on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Laz says, although Warren is a stadium builder, not much of a strong football guy. And there is his resume doesn't have anything on it like I built a 19 championship football team, the Vikings or anything. You're right about that. He was a Big Ten commissioner, but I gotta believe that this guy is a really good critical thinker, and that there's a report out today. Who was it? Albert Breer saying that Warren was looking for more control over the football operations. And if that's true, I like it. I like the fact that your team president is coming in and challenging Ryan Poles. Okay, you got these draft picks, this draft capital. What are you going to do with it? Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Why would you do this? Ask questions, challenge these guys, and that he's not in that club of Ian and Ryan Poles. He's actually coming in and breaking the door down and saying, you got to convince me that you're doing the right thing, because if not, I've got permission to replace you guys. That's a good adversarial working relationship that I hope that's what's going on. I can't say for any certainty that that's what's going on. But I don't know. I just when I read that from Martellus, and then I read some of the comments under him. Yeah, you're right, Martellus, and so forth. I'm like, is he really right? I don't know.
Well, think about in 19 when the Bears had that, the Bears 100 and brought the old players back. They were praised for that. They were praised for that, for having that opportunity for the older players to come and meet the fans. And so it's just like it's always a criticism for this and then a criticism for that. It's always seemingly whatever those guys do, the McCaskies, they are criticized.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying they don't deserve criticism. I'm not some apologist here.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying if they win, if they don't win, they do this. If they try to bring the older players back, now they're not innovative. If they're trying to get a stadium that might require them to leave Chicago, then they're still the assholes.
Yeah.
It's just like whatever they do, people just hate these guys. And it's malicious, I think.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of bad decisions after bad decisions, though. I think that's the frustration
I agree.
It's been building up for a long time in Bears fans.
I'm with you there, Tooch. And like like Dan brought up the 100th celebration. If we didn't do that, right, we would have been criticized. We would have criticized Bears ownership. Why didn't they bring all these people together? This is a great celebration. I know, Tooch, you were there. You had a great time, despite the fact that they did fuck up things with the long lines and stuff. But you had a great time.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they brought the Bears Hall of Fame stuff there. You could walk through all the busts on loan. There were barflies there. Joe Mandel, Greg Braggs. There
This same
can't
argument
remember
could be
all of
used against the Bulls now, too. Be like, oh, all you talk about's Jordan. I mean, yeah, you should fucking talk about Jordan until everybody dies, okay? Like,
Yeah.
he earned that. That whole team, all 6 of those titles, deserved reverence for the rest of everyone's existence in Chicago, period. Now, you could say that about the Bulls. They haven't done shit since then. Derrick Rose was an MVP, but that's it. And then he got hurt. I mean, you can use this against any team. You can pick and choose for any team that hasn't won. I don't. What about the fucking Knicks? You know, a team that hasn't won in 50 years. You know, they get all this hostility too, and you know their owners constantly criticize. I'm just saying, winning cures everything. If we could just win, then the McCaskies wouldn't be so hated.
Totally agree. I just feel it was an unfair shot by Martellus. Mo Bierman says that Kevin Warren, the Big Ten was happy to get rid of him because of the COVID thing. You know what? That's not quite true, Mo. My reading on this is that the Big Ten loved him because he made them tons of money. The TV contracts that he brought to the Big Ten, unheard of. And now look at the Big Ten. They're becoming bigger than the SEC. He planted that whole fertile ground to bring in these Pac-10 schools. They loved him. All of those university presidents love him, and they were sad when he left. At least that's what they were publicly saying, and that's what also the spreadsheet said in the bottom line. That guy knew how to make money. Now, did he make mistakes with canceling the season too early? He was taking the advice of medical professionals, just like a lot of us were, and some of us got, immune shots when we didn't want to. It was a fucked up time. Even President Trump at the time was pushing for the vaccine.
Operation Warp Speed.
Exactly. So, you can't blame anyone for that neurovirus because it was a neurovirus. Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Remember at first when it came out, we were told not to go outside and breathe in the air. It's like, what? I got to stay inside the rest of my life? Who's going to get my groceries? It was a crazy time. So I don't blame Kevin Warren for bad decisions that were made during COVID. A lot of people made bad decisions during COVID.
Yeah, but going back to the
Big
Bears
Ten
part,
network, Big Ten network now.
Yeah,
you're watching games on Big Ten.
Huge.
It would be almost irresponsible from a financial perspective for the Bears to not have some kind of marketing of the 85 team, as long as there are people that remembers the team, because I mean they deserve all the press that they get. I mean, why would you not sell jerseys of Jim McMahon or Walter Payton or Richard Dent or Mike Singletary, Dan Hampton? Why wouldn't you? Whenever there's a market for it. And that's not to say that that's at the expense of the younger fans, because hell, we've all been to Soldier Field. You look around, I'm not going to say 100% of people are wearing jerseys, but goddamn, it's probably half, if not more. So there are people buying Justin Fields jerseys, other athletes. It's not just the 80s team. I just find that to be, again, just one of those like stereotypical criticisms that really don't hold a lot of merit. It's just easy to say, and people, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, they talk too much about 85 because it just sounds good.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
But I think it stems from it's been such a culture of losing for a while. That
I agree with you.
People we want so desperately to have that team of the future.
But are we unique to that as others fans?
No.
Look at Don Burr. Like again,
that.
Detroit. Look how many. Like I said earlier, I said it as a jab toward him, but they have won one playoff game since the 50s. I mean, our suffering as fans, we can't lose sight that there are other teams that also haven't won.
Yeah,
I mean, they're like the Browns. Look at like losing those AFC Championship games, and 3 of them, and they've never even made it to a Super Bowl. They lost their team and then had to get an expansion team. So there are a lot of other teams, other fans sitting around with sore from losing too.
Yeah, I don't get it, and so he's saying that young players can't relate to the Chicago Bears now. Yeah, okay. So you got George McCaskey, who's in his 70s. I'm not,
Is he that old?
I'm guessing he's in his late 60s.
He certainly looks good for his age.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be in his 70s.
he's not going to go out clubbing with Justin Fields. That's not that type of ownership. He's
not Jerry Buss.
Yeah. And I see him out there with fans of all ages taking photographs with people. Yes, he wants to keep his base of people who are probably had season tickets for 30, 40, 50 years. He doesn't want to lose those people for many reasons, especially the bottom line. But I think it's just unfair to say that they're relying on the 85 Bears.
Are the Raiders relying on the 70s Raiders because they haven't won a Super Bowl since 1983?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not hearing that criticism like, oh, they're just focused on Al Davis's legacy. You could say that about any team that hasn't won recently. And in the coming years, how often are we going to hear that the Patriots oh man, they're just stuck on Tom Brady's legacy and Bill Belichick. I mean, because they're going to go a number of years probably without winning now. So it's low hanging fruit in my opinion. That's only, and I just feel like it's the thing to say to get likes.
Right.
But if he's got an explanation that says why I have all this resentment, then tell us, and then maybe we can agree with you.
Come on this show. We'll listen to you. Remember the other thing too about him was when he was a member of the Green Bay Packers, and as soon as Aaron Rodgers was injured,
he wanted cut.
He wanted out. He
won a Super Bowl because of it, though.
Yeah,
he went to the Patriots, and that was the 28-3 Atlanta loss.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were a Falcons fan, you never even won the Super Bowl. You've lost 2 of them, and you had a 28-3 lead. How salty are they for a winner?
Yeah. Well, and the team that he won a Super Bowl with, the Patriots, they're not going to win another Super Bowl for decades.
That's what I was just saying. That's why are they going? And in 5-10 years, they're going to be like, "Why are you so stuck on Tom Brady and Bill Belichick?" That's what I was just saying because that's going to be their legacy. But that doesn't mean that Kraft doesn't want to win.
Mm-hmm.
But New England should sell Tom Brady jerseys to the end of fucking time. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's like the same reason the Bulls are still selling Jordan gear.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to get your opinion with, Tooch, you got a final thought on this? Because I wanted to talk about Carissa Thompson.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe Martellus Bennett wasn't saying that they should stop selling, Walter Payton jerseys and Ditka jerseys and all that stuff. I think the greater point maybe we should take from this is that we got to jump into the future. We got to hire, we hired vanilla, like I said, 1 scoop of vanilla and a kitty cup.
But wasn't Matt Nagy supposed to be futuristic too, like a genius of offense, of the way the league was turning, and the same thing?
Supposed to be an offensive guru,
right? With Trestman, so they've taken chances to hire. They've hired innovative, what was described as innovative coaches at the time.
But who are the idiots that said Nagy was an offensive guru, though? That's what I want to know.
No, I agree, but that was the prevailing thought from a lot of people.
It was,
and when he did win Coach of the Year.
Right. And when we hired Dave Wannstedt, he was the hottest coaching candidate out there.
Because they had just won the Super Bowl, and a lot of that was with his defense in Dallas.
Yeah. Yep. I think they've just been really fucking unlucky.
Yeah.
They
bad decision after bad decision.
Right. So,
well, Minnesota, look at Minnesota. They haven't gone to a Super Bowl since 11. Since 11. Or are we sitting around saying, they still talk about the purple people eaters?
Yeah.
Yeah, are we saying we could use the same argument against the Vikings or any team that hasn't won? It's bullshit, man.
Yeah, you can't forget history. I mean,
can't do it. And if it sells, fuck. If a fucking Sid Luckman jersey sells, you sell it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a demand for Sid.
Yeah, Gail Sayers, Dick Butkus, even though they both have passed on now, and it's not like because they died that suddenly their gear is being purchased, because people would buy those jerseys that weren't even alive when Butkus and Sayers were playing in the 60s. But that gear has a market.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Carissa Thompson. She came out. She was on a podcast over at Barstool Sports.
And she's run from these comments too, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Tell us the story. Set it up for us, Dan McGuire.
So I don't know the name of the show she was on. I've seen it on Twitter.
Pardon my take.
Okay. So she's on Pardon My Take and basically says when she was young on the sidelines that she would just make shit up if she couldn't get a coach to talk or she didn't have the time to even make the effort to ask them to talk, she would speak in cliches on things that the team wouldn't denounce. Like, oh, we need to be better on third down, or we have to get a stop there, or whatever it is. She would say something that had no substance to it, that it would just sound like what they said, and she wasn't even trying, but she would get praised for her reporting when she was just making shit up. But they wouldn't dispute it because it was lazy, just, oh, we got to get a stop there. It was just cliche. She wasn't saying anything of substance. So the team wouldn't say, oh, we didn't say that because, it was just bullshit is what I'm saying. You get my point?
Absolutely. So, and one example that she had, and I think that she shared this a year ago, because this is the second time she's come forward with these comments. A year ago on her podcast with Erin Andrews, and Erin Andrews admitted that she too had made up some things. But Carissa Thompson said that she was interviewing a coach who we later have found was Rod Marinelli, former Bears coach. DC. And Detroit Lions head coach. And apparently she asked him questions, and Marinelli started talking about her perfume and how good it smelled. So she made up quotes for him. Well, here's the problem. Carissa doesn't realize and doesn't understand that she's a journalist. And so that's what she should have said. She should have said, I asked head coach Rod Marinelli about his defense, but he didn't care to answer. He had other thoughts on his mind, something like that. Or if you want to tell exactly what happened, then drag him under the bus and say he's talking about my perfume. You're a journalist. You're supposed to tell the truth. And the reason that I got real emotional when I saw that is journalism in America and really throughout the world is just taking a fucking beating. All of this fake media stuff, all of this fake, there's actually organized campaigns to try to make old media, traditional media look like they're making shit up. And here she is admitting that she's part of the problem. And that's not good. We have got to, as a country, as a people, we have got to get to a place where we start trusting media because they've earned our trust. With honesty. I remember when Brian Williams was suspended by NBC News because he said, I was on a plane and we'd be shot and fired on. And one of the cameramen told somebody that didn't fucking happen. And so they suspended Brian Williams from NBC News. I thought at the time they should have fired that motherfucker because how can now you believe anything he says?
They did put him on at 11 o'clock on MSNBC. So.
Yeah. So they gave him another job. Right. So that was just the height of poor management. Journalism, I have a certain respect for it because I worked for about a dozen years in the world of journalism. And as a kid, I would buy the newspaper and read about Watergate, then turn to the sports pages and just devour all this stuff. And here is somebody admitting, it's all fucking lies. We make shit up and stuff. It's like Carissa. And I've always been a fan of hers. She's such an engaging, good broadcasting personality.
There's a reason I didn't like her. Again, she was popping up on Fox Sports Ohio years ago during the Reds games. And it was like, I'll use a more specific example here, to illustrate the point. When she started getting on Fox, not so much of like on the sideline, but suddenly they would put her in the studio. Let's say we're watching the Bears in Detroit, and they're like, oh, let's go to Tampa Bay and see, Brady's throwing a touchdown or whatever, right? And they have someone in the studio showing you that update. Well, after James Brown left, what's his name? The big guy that does Kurt Menefee. Kurt Menefee does the studio reports and has been doing them since JB went to CBS again. But all of a sudden, instead of Kurt Menefee doing it, it's got to be Clarissa Thompson doing every other one. It's like she's eye candy. So they put her on there because she's pretty. They did that same thing on Fox Sports Ohio when suddenly, like, instead of having Jim Day give you the info, the job he's been doing, they'll have Clarissa Thompson do it. I mean, to me, she's always been forced on the TV because of her appearance. I'm not saying she's an idiot or something, but I felt like she's been forced on people just because she's pretty and didn't have a lot of substance. So I kind of resented that. The same thing with Erin Andrews. For years, Pam Oliver was the #1 sideline reporter for Fox. She started ESPN, worked her way up. And as soon as Aaron Andrews left ESPN, they demoted Pam Oliver because she doesn't look like a Barbie doll. And Aaron Andrews gets that Barbie doll, Clarissa Thompson break because the way they look. And it doesn't matter what they're saying. It was Pam Oliver's gig, and she deserved to maintain it. But because she doesn't look like a Barbie, she lost her gig. That, to me, I resent that. Clarissa Thompson doesn't deserve to be where she's at, and she shouldn't be allowed to be on Amazon after that. She's lost all of her she never had any substance anyway, I thought. And now she's a liar. So why? I mean, I would fire her if I was Amazon.
Well, I'm not going to argue with any of what you said because I think it's all true. And I actually went and looked at her resume, her bio, when this controversy popped up, and she's never achieved a degree in journalism. She went to college for like history or something like that. So she was never taught the ethics of journalism, and so maybe she learned them on the job and so forth. If she did, she never executed those ethics of journalism. And there's no doubt, that she's a gorgeous woman, and that putting her on the air is great for those of us who like looking at beautiful women holding a microphone. But I always thought that she was just a good broadcast personality, and like Colin Cowherd is. I'm not going to believe anything Colin Cowherd says, but from a broadcasting standpoint, he's articulate. He's got a nice pacing rhythm to his articulations. So Jesus Christ, that is priceless.
Are his teeth really that gapped in the middle?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that I've seen that picture so many times. It's got to be Photoshopped.
I've never seen that picture.
Shane tweets that all the time.
Really? Someone put the gap in his teeth, though.
His teeth do not look like that.
I love it. Anyways, Tooch, you got any thoughts on the Clarissa Thompson deal?
I mean, look, I think that the media devolving from truth once in a while became more prevalent with the more popular the internet became, the more easier it was for stories written for clickbait to populate the collective consciousness. So that's it. I mean, it used to be when Aldo and I were kids, you could trust
but corporations didn't own the networks then.
Jacobson and Bill Curtis and Walter Jacobson. You could trust those guys to deliver a story.
Journalism was part of the public trust. It was part of the commons. They were a loss leader. CBS would lose money on their CBS News with Walter Cronkite, but they did it because they knew it was important to keep the nation informed. And now everything is $4, and so you get all this bullshit stuff. There's no doubt about it.
There's money influence, that drives a certain news story or narrative, but I go back to something my dad always used to say: if you can never figure out the reason, the answer is always money.
There you go. He's a smart man. By the way, do any of you guys know the actor Brent Sexton?
No.
I think so.
Doesn't he look just like Johnny Santucci? Look at that.
I got a little more hair than him.
I think he looks like Carol O'Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
A little young Carol O'Connor.
I just, when Tooch looked to his right shoulder, I thought immediately of Brent Sexton, and I'm thinking to myself, they're like twins, man.
So you're saying Tooch is like the All in the Family shit? Then he's
De Niro, Robert De Niro,
right.
De Niro.
Well, you do look like a part De Niro, part Brent Sexton, a couple of other people. Guy I saw in a gay porn movie.
Ron Jeremy is Nomad pointed out.
The hedgehog.
All right, guys.
I want to ask you guys one quick question, because my theme, Bears State of Affairs, was basically, and Adam Rank tweeted out something like this, but I don't think Justin Fields is as much auditioning as much as it is the coaching staff auditioning to be Justin's coach.
I saw that.
Because I think Justin, we've seen this game last week was basically where the hell's this been all year? Look at this, man. Opening drive, a 75-yard drive to open the game. You know, the Commanders game was a dominant game. You know, we were almost there with the Broncos game. You know, but the Bears coaching staff is, like I've said for quite a while, that I thought they were in over their heads. You know, with in the National Football League, just not equipped to combat the level of other coaches. And I wanted to get your guys' opinion on whether or not you think the next six games are more an evaluation of the coaching staff than an evaluation of Justin Fields after Sunday.
Go ahead, Dan.
Of course, you deferred to me on that one. All right, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? I feel like Stockdale, Perot's running mate, and I didn't have my hearing aid turned on.
After Sunday, I got the feeling that it wasn't so much Justin auditioning anymore than it was the coaches auditioning to be Justin Fields' coach.
I mean, they are intertwined, I believe. So, I mean, Justin still has everything to gain or lose. I mean, depending, it's not fair because there's 10 other players on the field in the Bears uniform at the same time that he's there. But again, let's say he would go 0-6, you know, they're going to be like, Justin 6-49 or whatever it is at that point as a starter. That does follow him. Or let's say he loses the next 3 and then sweeps Arizona and Atlanta and Green Bay at the end. They're going to be like, yeah, but you lost the ones like Cleveland and Detroit and Minnesota, the tough games. So perception is reality. So he has to win games. The coaches, it's a different, you know, they're connected to him too. But for Justin, the Bears have to win for him to get some recognition to keep his job. That's not right, but perception is reality.
I have to say this. I am absolutely certain that if the season were to end tomorrow, Matt Eberflus would be fired tomorrow.
And rightfully so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am absolutely certain of this. I have some information that is pointing towards there being a major overhaul with this coaching staff at the end of the season. That's all.
I thought you were going to tell me after going into the bye week. I was going to be like, yes.
Well, I wouldn't rule that out of the question. I wouldn't rule that out of the question at all. You know, so if they were to make a move like that, Tooch, Dan, what would you do? Because my thinking is, okay, so you move in maybe Borgonzi, the linebackers coach, the head coach, like they did it with the Raiders. Antonio Pierce has moved in, and he's injected some enthusiasm and confidence into that team, and they're winning. Borgonzi isn't that guy, but you bring in a guy who is smart and maybe can do some things. Bring him in. You name Phil Snow, who was hired as the senior defensive analyst. Bring him in to be the DC, and I guess you have to keep the offensive coordinator for the next 5 games, but. What do you guys think? If the Bears, lose badly at Minnesota on Monday Night Football, national TV, and it's before a bye, then he has to fire him, right?
I hope it doesn't happen in hindsight after you're saying that, because I want them to beat Minnesota. So yeah, I'm not rooting for his demise, I guess, in that regard.
What do you think, Tooch?
Past history would tell us that the Bears usually do things after the season. Eberflus will be launched. I think, I would lose all faith in Ryan Poles if he doesn't fire Eberflus after the season. I mean, after I just gave you like 3 historic collapses. They're all. He's lost 4 giant leads in his first season and a half.
And hasn't won a divisional game yet.
Hasn't won a division game.
Not 2 in a row either.
He hasn't won back-to-back games either.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, what does that say about Ryan Poles if he doesn't fire him?
I got to believe – I know those guys aren't going to be around for the next season, but I think it could happen after the Vikings game. because it's the perfect time to do it. So what happens? Do you send a bad signal to future head coaches to say, well, why would I want to come to the Bears and they're going to be firing coaches and not let them play out the season? Or do you send a really good message to the team and say, guys, we're going to clean house. We're going to get this fucking thing done. I know, Ryan Post, I know you guys are upset with the head coaches. That's one of the reasons why I'm firing this motherfucker.
I mean, the Raiders, they fired a big-name coach. I mean, I don't know if he should have a big name, but McDaniels is a name because of his tenure with the Patriots.
And a lot of money.
And he's had 2 shitty attempts at coaching in Denver and Oakland, or Las Vegas. So, I mean, they made the move. So if they could fire him, Eberflus, who's Eberflus? I'm not going to say he's a bum, but he's not a big-name coach at all.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Raiders can make that move, I mean, why can't the Bears?
Yep. We'll see if we can get it out of him tomorrow, Laz. Gabriel Talks Football tomorrow. Special time at 11 a.m. Central. Yeah. That's all I'll say. Yeah. All right. Swank, go ahead. One last thought on this. I want to make sure we get this in before we quit the show.
I mean, I'm with you, Aldo. I think they'll launch him after the season, but they never should have hired him in the first place because it was the most uninspiring hire of a head coach that I was like, Ebert, who the hell's this guy? I never heard of him. How do we decide on this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. Swanky, though, asked one of the best questions ever posed during this show. He says, guys, who was your favorite Tony Soprano?
Oh, I already know my answer.
I know your answer.
It's always Annabella Sciorra, right?
You got it.
Exactly. Let me. I think this is her. This is a photo.
Oh man, Dan's
my gosh,
that's Gloria on the show. She ends up hanging herself. If you don't know,
yes,
I would have hanged myself just to have one night of fucking with her.
Do you know this one? Oops,
I don't remember that one.
Really? Oh,
is that the Russian lady?
She was, the Russian lady.
Okay, that's earlier in the show. Yeah.
Actually, no, she was the Cuban Italian. That was she was also dating Ralph Cifaretto.
Oh, so it's like, I love him. I love Ralphie. Yeah.
Yeah. This is, I think, the first mistress they showed on the show. Maybe the first. Her name was Irina. Irina, was it? Yeah.
Don't forget the lady he fucked with the one leg.
Oh, that's this one.
Okay.
She's pretty hot too.
Carmela was upset about that one.
Yeah, can you blame her? That was Svetlana Karolinko. But
It's gotta be.
Lips are hot.
Go ahead. My bad.
Here's my favorite. It's Sonia. Look at how gorgeous this woman is.
To me, the hottest ladies on the show are Annabella Sciorra and the Dre that played Adriana.
D'Amato, yeah.
Yeah, she played Adriana. God damn, Christopher's, man, I'd have left with her. Fuck, I'd have gone did Ray Liotta on Goodfellas and left with her. That's if I could change anything on The Sopranos, I wouldn't want Silvio to kill Adriana. I want Christopher to leave with her. That's the only thing I really, really was upset about, I think.
Do you agree with Mr. Mayhem when he says The Sopranos is an overrated show?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I agree with Dan. What do you think, Tooch?
I haven't watched it. I know. I wasn't into watching series back then. It was the first series ever. I lost, I wasn't watching. I'm fired now, I think, Dan. No more Bears.
Man, that is something you should binge though, for real.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm so busy with everything.
Well, the show ended in 2007. You've had time.
Yep. 16 years.
Exactly, and it started in '99, so you've had some time there. Aldo just said, "Fuck it."
Was a rough time from '99 to like 2003. It was like a really rough time for me. I was going through a divorce. And
we all know how bad those are.
Child custody battle, and ended up, then becoming a single parent to a 2.5-year-old boy. So it was a rough time. I didn't have any time back then. I know.
Hold on a second. You said you what?
I haven't seen it. I know.
You said you what?
I've only seen the Sopranos porn movie I was in.
The Sopranos.
Yeah, the Sopranos with Tooch.
Oh, I love it. Larry says, I believe Annabella appears naked in the movie The Hand That Rocks the
I think
Cradle.
so.
Yeah.
I got to go back and watch that one. I missed
Yeah, it had the girl from Risky Business had Annabella's kid breastfeeding from her in it. Rebecca De Mornay.
Rebecca De Mornay, yeah.
Didn't you see recently, Dan, Jungle Fever with Annabella?
Yeah, I'd watched it when it was new, but I hadn't watched it in like 30 years. And it was a different perspective of seeing it. When I was a kid, I just thought, my God, this lady's so hot. But as I watched it as an older guy, I pretty much was just like overwhelmed with like complimenting the scene where Samuel L. gets killed in his mom's arms. I thought that was like great acting across the board.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Last 10 minutes. I want to go around because I want to get out of here at 10:30, just when Dan does as well. Tooch, your final thoughts. Any advice for us in the gambling area? Anything you want to finish the show with?
Man, last Friday, the weekend sports betting tips, we were 4-0. So, yep, 4-0.
Awesome. You're gonna do a show tomorrow?
Thursday, the guys want to do some Thanksgiving Day betting tips.
Nice.
It's actually Sean's idea.
Look at that.
I wanted to do some, so it's fairly open. Yeah, Laz, I had Arizona Wildcats. It was like 21-0 after the first quarter, Arizona versus Utah.
Nice.
So I love it when it's that easy. But I was 39-29 to start the college basketball season, which is pretty tough at the beginning of college basketball. Love college basketball.
Sorry, I laughed at Zach's comment. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, don't bet on the fucking Bears.
Actually, Anthony gave out on his card was Bears first half plus 5.5. That was a winner.
That was a winner.
So you can Bears overs too are kind of clawing in there too.
So Tooch, when Darnell Wright kicked the ball out of the end zone and it was a safety, who did that benefit? The people who bet on the Lions to cover or the Bears to cover? How did that work?
The over definitely helped the over.
Okay.
So I think we finished with what 26. We were way over, so 57 points. I think it was 49.5 or 47.5 was the total. We went over there, and then the Bears covered. I think it was Lions minus 7.5. So it didn't. But yeah, God, that was so painful. That last two points. You know,
awful.
I still thought we could get a field goal attempt. I was watching. I was like, we're going to get in field goal range. I really believed it.
I thought so too, Dan.
Yeah, I don't have anything for tonight, and I haven't looked. I was too busy writing Bears State of Affairs. Laz wants another pick.
Well, follow Tooch at John Santucci VIP on the X machine, and he does these great things where if you retweet and follow him, he will send you some free picks, and 90% of the time they're winners. So that's the best way to stay on top of that. Dan, any final thoughts, brother?
I watched a Scorsese movie last night that I had never seen in my entire life. A 2.5-hour movie, and it ends with Daniel Day-Lewis walking away and not giving me the ending I want. I was so pissed off. The Age of Innocence. The Age of Innocence.
Oh, with Winona Ryder
and Michelle Pfeiffer. So his character falls in love with Michelle Pfeiffer, but eventually, because of circumstances, they can't get together because the family will cut her off or having a divorce. He ends up settling for Winona Ryder. And he ends up being a good dad, and he doesn't cheat. He lets it go. But Winona Ryder knows that's who he really loves. So on her deathbed, she tells her son, when I'm gone, hook them up, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. So the son, Robert Sean Leonard, I think is his name, the guy that playing the character, takes him to where she lives in like France or wherever. And you're outside. She's upstairs. She's waiting on you. You're 57 now. Mom says this is who you've always loved. You deserve it. So he starts to envision them as a young couple hitting on her and the way he lusted after her. And he gets up and he walks away, and the music comes in as if it's triumphant, like he just won he just clinched the pennant or something. Like, it's just amazing, this ending. He's walking, but he fucking leaves the girl, and that's the ending. I watched this for 2.5 hours, and that's what you give me? Why did I watch this? Scorsese deserves. I looked at its Wikipedia. It's like, oh, it came out to critical acclaim. Okay, was anyone else like mad about this ending?
I would like to see it now, though. But
I saw it when it was first released, and I don't remember the ending. So
the ending is enough to make you punch a hole through the wall.
I ended up watching a couple movies recently, and they were both by William Friedkin. Because I had watched one called Sorcerer. I don't know if you know that one.
I watched that with Aldo. I watched it with Aldo.
Killer. Yes. Just killer. The acting was fantastic. Roy Scheider. Yes, and if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. It's just awesome. Yes. And then the Kane.
I watched that with Aldo and John Buffon.
That's right. The three of us watched it. Yeah. How about that for a threesome?
Aldo told me to watch the Kane Mutiny, so I watched it. I enjoyed it with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
And at the end, it says directed by William Friedkin.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. It blew my mind.
His last movie.
Great movie.
We should talk more about that next week. Yeah. Bear Truth 9 has an interesting question. Who is the better actor, Denzel or Al Pacino?
That's tough.
They're both so good, though.
They are good, right?
That's tough. I will say, I love Denzel Washington. All right.
So do I.
I even like his son, John David Washington, as well. But I like Pacino's movies overall better. Like his pile of work, if his filmography. Right. I think he's been in better movies that I've enjoyed more than Denzel. That's a personal opinion. That's not a shot at Denzel at all. So that's the only way I would say I would choose Al. But if someone tells me Denzel's the guy, how could I go against that? I love Denzel Washington.
What's the recent series that Denzel's done where he's kind of like a super spy? I forget. I saw the most recent one. It was really good. It takes place in a small town in Italy on the Adriatic.
Yeah, let me get you that.
What is the name of that series? Really great. I just saw the most recent one. It was excellent.
Equalizer.
Equalizer 3.
Yes. I watched part 1. There's 4 of those, I think.
Is it 3? Yes. I think there's 3.
I thought there's 4.
Is there 4? I think
there is 3.
Oh, I thought there was
the third one was out just this past year.
Yeah, 2023. Yeah.
Yeah. I just watched that one. It was excellent.
I watched that movie you told me about, Aldo, the Todd Killers or whatever it was.
Yeah, the Todd Murders or Todd Killers. The Todd Killers.
Yeah, do you have time to talk about this real quick?
What
is this?
Yeah. It's a 1971 movie, low budget, but at the time something was happening in Hollywood where actors were, I think there was a strike or something going on. Actors were in desperate need of work. And so this director, a story kind of loosely based on kind of Charles Manson or some other serial killer, he got a great cast going. What did you think of the movie, Dan?
Well, some of the criticism that I was trying to read more of an interpretation of the ending that other people had. A lot of people were upset saying that, like, when he choked out the young girlfriend because she kept saying, "I could ruin you" or whatever, which again, the real guy, this apparently really happened. This serial killer in the 60s. I had never heard of him, but I read his history. They really paraphrased from the real murders that this guy had committed. So the story's almost the same. But it looks so bad when he was choking her. And the beginning of it starts with them burying someone and not showing you the murder there either. So the criticism from a lot of people was it's like 2 hours of flat, nothing happening. So I mean, there's no payoff or anything. So I could see that point. I personally, some of it I enjoyed seeing, like, again, it's 70. That's when my dad would have just graduated high school. So just hearing them talk about, Vietnam or the music, the zeitgeist of that era, I was interested in how teenagers hung out then, and it wasn't always just about protesting Vietnam or something. Right. So just seeing that aspect, pretending that I was like my dad's age at the time, I thought was fun and fascinating, but I thought the ending was really weak.
I agree with you.
I just showed his face and then like paused and then the credits rolled.
Right.
What is it trying to convey there?
You had mentioned that you've been watching some 70s movies because you kind of like that era. And so I thought that's why I recommended the movie to you. And the cast is really fascinating. Like Tooch, Richard Thomas, John Boy. This is his first movie before he did the Waltons. He's in this movie in a major role.
And dare I say, he actually seems cool in it.
He does. He did a really nice job. And he didn't come off at all like John Boy, I'll tell you that.
No, that's what I'm saying. He has charisma. Like, he gets a lot of pussy, even albeit underage pussy, but still.
That's
That's one of the things I was going to say. Not that I'm saying, Aldo, you're an old man, so you tell me. But was fucking younger girls like something it wasn't that much of a big deal in 70? Because it just seemed like everybody knew that he was doing it in the town and nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, it was not as big a deal. I mean, you're talking about, years before that, Johnny Lee Lewis, the rock and roll star, was dating a 14-year-old.
His
Elvis
cousin.
Presley. His cousin, right?
That Winona Ryder played in the movie.
Yeah, Elvis Presley dating a 15, 16-year-old. So it was prevalent as far into the 70s. And I think it was probably in the late 70s when Gloria Steinem, started giving voice to women's rights and pointing out some of the that this stuff was basically rape, and it was. I mean, there were state laws against it. So, but everybody got away with it back then, and everybody turned a blind eye to it. So definitely.
Well, what do you think the ending was trying to say? It's like the younger people are like shocked because I guess they see the remains of their friend.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to walk away, and then it shows his face, and then it stops. I mean, is that supposed to symbolize maybe his lack? Like before, he sort of had a control over the young people, and now they're leaving, and he's recognizing that his pull over these people is dissipating. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Well, that and it was. Here's our hero. Here's a guy that helped us get laid, who gave us access to alcohol and drugs and so forth. And it turns out that he's an asshole. We're disillusioned. And it sort of was that era of the 1970s where there was a lot of disillusionment. Early 70s, there was a lot of disillusionment going on with the establishment. And so you had this rebel leader kind of guy, and they find out that he's kind of in that same vein. You can't trust anybody.
Do you remember the scene where his attorney told him, like, this is what we'll do. We'll cut your sentence if you'd show him where the bodies are, and we'll make you like a guy that comes out, that says, like, I fell into this lifestyle. I thought that's where it was going to go by him showing where the bodies are to somehow make him a victim out of it. That society sort of made him who he was, but they cut it short.
Yeah, they did cut it short. I don't know. I think there was a little choppiness towards the movie, so I wonder if they left some scenes in the editing room floor, as they usually do with these low budget films, things that just don't work out. But I just love the era. I love the look of the film, and the cast I thought was great. Ed Asner is in it.
I didn't know why it was called the Todd murders either. Like, what was the significance of Todd?
I read something, I think in Wikipedia, what was the significance of that, but I'm forgetting what it was. But if anyone is interested,
it was okay though.
It's definitely not a great movie. But if you are interested in that era of filmmaking and looking at actors from that era, it's definitely worth a watch. It's a forgotten movie. A lot of people have never heard of it, and I just came across it recently on Turner Classic Movies. BT9 says, okay, Aldo fellas, what makes Denzel a good actor? When you describe Denzel as an actor, what would you say? I'll start first on this. I think it's his range. I think he can play the janitor in a movie. I think he can play the tough cop, the crazy psycho cop.
He can play a foreigner. He can play Malcolm X.
Yeah. The Malcolm X performance is superb.
As good as he was as Malcolm X is as bad as Will Smith was as Muhammad Ali. I thought Will Smith as Muhammad Ali is the worst historical performance I've ever seen anyone play as someone famous.
I'd have to watch that again. It was sort of on, and I didn't really pay close attention to it. So I'm not surprised. I think Will Smith started off as a good actor, and I think he got too full of himself. And But Denzel is fucking great. There's no doubt about it.
I like John David Washington too, his son.
Yeah, another good actor.
Yeah,
What do you think about Denzel? Tooch, you got any thoughts on what makes him an interesting actor?
I mean, he's like a natural. You always like believe he's the character. You don't think he's able to help you suspend disbelief. And he's smooth. I mean, and very his movements, his delivery, his facial movements, his eye movement. I look a lot for a lot of actors when they don't have lines, you watch their facial expressions. To me that goes a long way with me. It's like how they just act without saying anything. And he's one
Fair
of those.
Truth 9 has the final question tonight. Does your wife or significant other have to like movies to have a happy marriage or relationship, Dan?
My current girlfriend couldn't tell me what movie I showed her recently that she didn't like. I think it was To Live and Die in L.A. that she was falling asleep on. That she's like, I don't remember what it was.
Great movie, William Friedkin.
Yeah, but if she's not, I'm going to be boring the shit out of her then, because if she's going to be with me, she's going to be watching fucking movies, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, to me, definitely has, because my wife does not like watching sports. She'll watch a game from time to time, and then I'll give her storylines and she gets into it. But for the most part, if I've got a game on, she's going to go watch Dateline, another murder episode, and I think she's figuring out a way to kill me to keep collecting insurance money.
She's like, I want to make everyone think it's his arm. It's his arm.
That's right. But she and I like movies and really love movies. Tooch, what about your wife?
Does she like sports, or she loves it all? I mean, my wife loves basketball.
Really?
So she's a big basketball fan. She's just kind of learning how to watch football.
Is she a movie buff?
Well, she loves movies, TV shows. Yep, loves it.
Nice.
That's like her and I favorite thing to do. As soon as we get the kids put down, we can finally watch a movie. Yeah. So
I hope your wife looks at you one day and says, John, I don't know what she calls you. I assume she doesn't call you Tooch.
No.
Hope she looks at you and says, John, my favorite NBA player of all time is Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. Oh, Philippines, they love basketball.
Oh yeah.
Does she like Manny? Does she like Manny Pacquiao?
Oh, yeah. She loves
Pacquiao as a fighter.
Loves
Everybody
Pacquiao.
does.
It's like their national hero.
Right.
I was so last time I went to the Philippines, I kind of like got a sense, a realization of just how important basketball is to Filipinos, because we went to an island. We like to take the ferry from my wife's hometown over to a remote island called Siargao, which is like the surfing capital. It's the towns are real small, and at one of the town, it's like a beachfront town called General Luna, and we were just going to the wet market to get some stuff we had rented someone's guest house and they kitchen, so we're cooking our own food in there and stuff. Went to the wet market to grab some stuff, and I was walking around the market. I'm checking out stuff, and I go through the curtains in the back, and I stepped out onto like basically a basketball court, with a bunch of people playing on Sunday after church, old guys, young guys, shooting, playing up, running up and down the court, shooting baskets and stuff. Just and a crowd of people watching. How much they loved it. It was just the tiniest little town, and in the middle of it, just a pickup game. And then on my flight home, I sat next to what's his last name? His name is Prince. I can't remember his last name. Prince. He was a star at Texas, University of Texas, and he was on the flight. And I was like, damn, this guy's like 6'10". I was like, gotta be a basketball player. I went up to him and asked him. I'm like, are you a basketball player? He's like, yeah, I'm playing in the Philippines league, and how he was enjoying playing here and enjoying the culture. Him and his wife and they had a 2-year-old boy, and he was sat on the flight a couple seats in front of me on the way home.
I got to go, guys, but I want to ask Tooch one more question.
Yeah.
And I got to go to work. I apologize to be abrupt, but since you've gone over there, have you gone to the site of I Leave Frazier 3?
No.
Wasn't that fought Thrill in Manila?
Thrill in Manila. Yeah. I've been to Manila. I haven't gone to the site, but next time I'm there, I'm going to have to go.
All right. Well, next time you're there, make sure you bring your computer and do a live report from the Thriller in Manila.
I will. We're
do your Howard Cosell voice.
Close on buying our little oceanfront.
Yeah, nice.
Super excited.
Nice. Well, listen, everyone, we will be back here next week after the Bears-Vikings game, Monday night.
After we get a win, damn it.
Tuesday night. And if we don't, we will all be talking about the firing that would have happened earlier today of Matt Eberflus. So count on that. For Dan Aguirre, for Johnny Santucci, I'm Aldo Gandia. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jim.